sweat.
Major changes are on the horizon for DC Comics. Everybody already knows about Absolute and what that looks like it's going to be. DC's Ultimate Universe style launch of a brand new universe. We've talked about that, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it here today. But that is not the only thing, the only major shakeup that is happening at DC Comics right now. It looks as if DC, as we say goodbye to the dawn of DC era, is planning to usher in the new era, the all-in era, which is nice, but it looks like coming alongside that are some shakeups as far as creative teams, writers, and artists moving on to new books, and maybe DC's ace taking a backseat altogether. We have a lot to talk about on the DC side of things today. This is episode 401 of the Comics Pals. I am very excited. Feels like we're starting a new journey, a new era of our own. We've got a full house today. We have Kale.
What's up, hot dogs?
Marco.
All same, new different.
Tyler.
Cracking open a new hundo. Let's go.
And I'm Sean. Thank you guys for being here, whether it is live, whether you're here live with us, or in the future. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Very fun show. I see you guys in the chat. Say hello if you are here with us. Yes, Uncanny Suit. The road to 500 begins. Let's get it. So, kicking things off is the news coming out of Substack from Joshua Williamson, who I referenced as the ace of DC Comics. This is clearly the golden boy. He's the guy that they saddle with, you know, the books that they're trying to get over. He has been the driver of the main DC storyline, I would say, for the last 2-3 years now. And, you know, he's been working on several books. He's on Action Comics right now, Superman. He's on Green Arrow, Batman and Robin at DCM. Did I miss something? I think those are the books he's on at the moment for DC.
That tracks.
Yeah. And just this week on Substack, Williamson talked about how he's going to pull back. He said the following: Green Arrow number 17 and the annual in October are my last issues of the series. Both series, he's also leaving Batman and Robin with number 13. Both series will go on. I know who the creative teams are next, and they are very exciting. I have total faith that they're going to kick ass and tell great stories with these books. DC picked some really talented creators to carry the torch. I'm incredibly proud that Green Arrow went from a 6-issue mini to 12 issues, then an ongoing that will continue after my time. Before we get to the end, we're about to dive into the Absolute Power crossover with Green Arrow number 13, featuring artist Aman K. Napulan. And then Sean Isaacs returns to write up our story of the Green Arrow family. That annual is going to be epic. So why? Why is Joshua Williamson making the decision to leave these books? Well, he says, leaving these books were my choice. Just to be clear, it was a hard one, no doubt. One that I lost some sleep over, as I had stories left to tell with both books, but my gut told me it was time. And there were a bunch of reasons why I made the call, mostly coming down to these 3 things. 1, reduce my workload. I've been feeling some burnout for a bit now. I've been burning the candle at both ends for a few years, and it was very clear that I needed to take some time off and reduce my schedule drastically. I've been writing a lot of books the last few years, and as much as I loved every minute of it, I need to recharge and reset, spend more time with my young family, and adjust my priorities. So I want to stop right there. Because not only is Joshua Williamson doing the 4 books that we just talked about at DC, but he is also doing Energon universe stuff. We know about Duke, and that closed. Cobra Commander closed. So, okay, great. So at some point he was working on 6 titles. And that's
Dark
what's
Ride, too.
Dark Ride as well. Yeah. So 7. That's what's forward facing. We don't know what he's doing and cooking up behind the scenes. So, I'm sure there's some kind of G.I. Joe #1 on the horizon, something of that nature. That's a big title that you would need to sit on and work on. You can't just fart that out, right? So he gives us that explanation, but he goes on. He says, also, the new arc of Superman after Absolute Power is a massive one. Lots of big moves happening there. And I recognize I needed to spend some time on it to really make it land in the way that I want to. 2, new comic projects. I've been offered some new comic projects that were difficult to turn down. I knew that I needed the headspace to really think about them, give them the room to breathe, and live in my head a bit before I start to put pen to paper. They are all projects that I'm excited about, but I knew I couldn't just add them onto my already busy schedule. I needed to clean my plate, take some time to think about the new work, and then get started. I learned that I'm at my best when I'm not rushed, so that meant taking my time with these new ones. News on that later. And then he also says, number 3, because of my packed schedule, I've had to say no to a few projects in the past, but recently I've had opportunities in front of me that were different and interesting in surprising ways. Different from what people would expect from me. It felt like the right time to work on it. So that's Joshua Williamson's statement on why he is leaving Batman and Robin and Green Arrow. I would say, to me, that the evidence of his burnout is present in the work. I would say that. Not in the work of his Superman stuff, because I actually think that's been pretty good. And I really like Duke and Cobra Commander. But I kind of think that both of these books, I read a little Green Arrow and a little bit of Batman Robin. And I would say that both of these books sort of feel pretty ancillary to me.
I mean, that's the curse of Green Arrow, unfortunately. I feel like that book always has to live on the periphery, but can't really, like, it lives in the side house, doesn't actually get to live in the main house.
Right.
I've enjoyed his Green Arrow book specifically, so that one's a bit of a bummer for me. But yeah, I can see what you mean, Sean.
Well, I mean, even Batman and Robin to some degree, right? Like, it's not the main title. It's it's going to be side stories that he has with his young ward, and so you have to kind of make those work outside of the typical storyline.
That one always felt like a tie-in to Gotham War that they just wanted to launch to have a Batman and Robin title out.
Yeah. Yeah. It didn't feel like it didn't feel like it had a real narrative purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. And even when we interviewed Josh, Tyler and I, he kind of alluded to his burnout. And I remember saying to him, "Oh, well, you worked far enough in advance. I'm sure that you're doing fine." And he was kind of like, "When I can, I try."
Yeah.
And he expanded on that in an interview. Well, they're really not even interviews at this point. In a conversation that he had with Sal, and
sorry, Uncanny Suit says he's on Comic Pop with Sal all the time too. Dude's been the face of DC for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been pretty open about his level of burnout. And so I think that this is a good thing on one level, but on another level, considering all of the changes that are impending for DC Comics, more of which we're going to get into, I'm wondering if Josh is looking at this as an opportunity outside of his Superman stuff to maybe take a step back from DC and focus more on outside projects. He didn't say that. That's what I'm wondering. Do you guys think that could be where this is going?
I mean, he wrote a Crisis, so what do you do from there? Maybe when you've been writing those big titles and kind of, I guess, writing the blueprint for the arc of the main DC universe for a while. Maybe you just want to do something different, and that's also a big enough platform to like have people like hunt for you for their work.
Sure.
I think also the crisis wasn't maybe what we expected and didn't live up to a standard, and things have kind of continued from there. Following within that that game plan, and maybe the this new initiative that's coming out for DC, like maybe that's the new direction, and so he doesn't feel like he has that role because he's coming in from the past 2-3 years of storyline. Now this new epoch is starting, and so why does he have to be involved?
It's tough because he's the anchor guy at DC right now, but he's also, it feels like he's also the anchor guy of the Energon universe. And I mean, they've got Kelly Thompson, they've got, they have Robert Kirkman, they have people, but it feels like he's the one that they're sort of tapping to build it out, especially on the GI Joe side of things. And that's an important job when you look at the numbers, when you look at the financials, and you look at the orders that those Energon universe books are getting. They need to keep that going. And if Williamson is a piece of why that's happening, which I believe he is, they're going to pull up the Brinks truck to make sure that he sticks around.
During our interview, he mentioned working with Hasbro directly, as well. And his third point here is something you wouldn't expect. And the way he worded his third point in his Substack sounded like non-comics.
Say it again.
The third part of what
say the third point again.
I don't have it up. Sean
because of my packed schedule, I've had to say no to a few projects in the past, but recently I've had opportunities in front of me that were different and interesting in surprising ways, different from what people would expect from me. It felt like the right time to work on them.
That smells like possibly non-comics work. And when you have Hasbro, who is building a movie universe right now that is G.I. Joe and Transformers connected, I'm wondering if he could be going out of comics a bit and maybe being poached to do some screenwriting work.
I see that. Definitely see that.
He did follow up that point by saying, I'm always looking and hoping for surprises in comics, and I feel we often lack them. This last year, I realized that I was looking for that in myself and my own work, that it was time to try something new. Now, again, this was my choice. We'll talk more about the actual books and how they end later. I don't want to spoil the stories of the next couple of issues. I'll write a longer goodbye. So maybe it's outside comics. That doesn't strike me as impossible. A lot of these writers do outside comics work. So that seems totally possible. On the Williamson front, though, he's dropping 2 books to pick up more books. Like something is going to have to give. If he dropped these 2, but he's adding more to the docket, is he really helping himself?
Well, but if he's got more energy in these, more Energon. if the 2 new ones are more exciting and they're better opportunity, he'll, they'll sort of replenish his own excitement for it,
Right.
And I wonder if there's even a creative excitement there, because in that same interview, I think one of the things that he mentioned with you guys was Hasbro gives him a lot of leeway. Like, oh, that's really interesting. Oh, they're very collaborative, where I can imagine there's a rigid structure to DC that can get maybe a bit grating on a creative level. I mean, he's not being as expressive as possible, and he's coming over to do the stuff with Skybound, stick on with Energon. He's throwing new ideas, and like that, I see that as a thing to continue to build on. Void Rivals, right?
And also, like, Skybound had the rights to Transformers for a while without letting anyone know. Like, that was a secret. So who knows what kind of secret stuff he could be working on, too. That might be huge once we actually get an announcement for it.
He becomes the architect for all of it. He takes on, Transformers. He takes on whatever else. Like, yeah.
Is he the writer of Justice League?
No, it's Mark Waid. I'm sorry. It's going to be Mark Waid, I think. And maybe that's also why he would want to leave, too. Because Mark Waid is kind of being rehanded the reins to this DC universe with absolute power. And Warner's just like, all right, I see where it's going. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm getting that vibe.
Yeah. I agree.
I see. I have read, and ultimately a lot of this stuff is anecdotal, but I have read that a lot of creators were offered absolute power, and that Williamson was originally writing it and then decided not to, and that it fell in the lap of Mark Waid. Now, if that sounds weird to you, it's not. That's pretty typical. Notably, Mark Miller was not the original writer of Civil War. He just is the one that ended up writing it. That's not that crazy.
Yeah. Wasn't even his idea.
No.
And that's at these summits, that's sort of why they have these summits, is someone will come up with an idea and a pitch. And if another writer is crazy excited about it, they'll pick it up. And generally it's sort of okay, you've got the story. Take it and fill it with your passion. I didn't have it. I just had the idea.
Or I don't have time. Whatever the reasoning might be, that's not a weird, uncommon thing to have happen. But it does feel like Williamson has been a sort of like a hitman for DC. When they need something done, they go to him, like Night Terrors and, all these different things. It feels like he's been that guy. If he's not the person writing Justice League, which I've also read that he doesn't like team books. Again, I don't know if that's a fact. That's just what I've read. If he's not the guy writing Justice League, then does he really have a place in the larger structure of what DC is doing? Wonder Woman is accounted for. Batman is, it's accounted for right now. We don't know how much longer Chip is going to be on it, but certainly he has at least, I would imagine, at least one more major arc coming. And Superman is what he's doing right now. So is there a place in the larger structure for Williamson to reside in? I don't know, but I feel personally like his home in terms of bigger projects is the Energon universe. That's what I believe.
Even at the New York Comic Con last year, the Energon panel, we went to a panel, surprising. It was like he was one of the mouthpieces that was there talking about things and biting his tongue constantly during it.
Yeah. Well, Williamson is not the only person who is leaving titles, though. And this is the core, I think, of what I'm interested in as far as this conversation goes. There is, I don't want to use the word exodus because that's huge, but there are definitely several titles that are seeing shifts coming in September and early October. Something is happening that aligns with the end of Absolute Power, for sure. And I believe it aligns with the beginning of DC All In. When we had Rich Johnson on the show a couple months ago, he talked about how DC All In was the next phase, the next initiative of DC Comics. The same way that we have had Dawn of DC, which is now at its end, the next era is All In. And that is going to happen alongside the Absolute Comics launch. All In is the banner that is going to encompass whatever DC has planned for the next year and change. And Absolute Comics is a new universe that is launching that isn't a part of All In the sense that it's not a part of the main universe, but it is happening at the same time. So we are seeing Tini Howard leaving both of her titles. She's leaving Catwoman and she's leaving Harley Quinn. Catwoman, it appears to be that she's leaving it with number 68, although it is getting a 69 issue, and I feel like you should keep Tini Howard on for that.
You gotta.
And I'm going to buy that, by the way. I am 1,000% buying Catwoman 69.
Getting reviewed.
Frank Cho's drawing the cover for it, I think, right?
Yeah.
Hasn't he been teasing it? Yeah, of course.
I dropped Catwoman. I'm coming back for this. I have to. But she's also leaving Harley Quinn. And she's she talked about it on her Substack, actually. How, this is what she's doing. But what was interesting to me about her comments was the fact that she alludes to other creators also leaving their books. So she said, um, both of my ongoing DC comic series, Catwoman and Harley Quinn, are coming to an end in September with Catwoman 68 and Harley Quinn 43. I couldn't be prouder. If you've got your eyes on the comics rags, you might be seeing that a lot of incredible DC comic series are coming to an end right before October, so we're in fine company. So there you go. She also says, if you don't love my work on these characters, enjoy my absence on the main monthly titles. I don't know what's coming next for these books, but I'm excited to see who takes over as a fan. So kind of acknowledging some of the negative feedback she's been getting.
The haters.
I don't know. I was reading both of those and I had
Damn.
to stop. I had to stop.
It's interesting that this is all happening with the Absolute Universe kind of impending. Like, are these guys moving over there? Is that what's going on? We're taking the stable of writers and creators that we have and shifting them over into this new world, which is going to be a primary focus. And are we now raising up our BC tiers to take over with the all in?
All due respect to Tini, but surely she's not A tier to go toward, Absolute. Surely she would be one to climb.
I mean, if she gets one of the Trinity for the Absolute, that's a climb, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I would certainly say that she has room to move up the ladder. But with some of the feedback that both of these titles have gotten, I sort of wonder what DC's perspective on her is. Clearly, she's leaving the titles at the same time that a lot of other books are ending. So it's not because not necessarily because of sales or anything like that. Do they have a larger plan for her going forward? I have to imagine that they do. But I don't know. That doesn't fill me with excitement. MP dropping the $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, MP. He says, Bat books especially seem to be resetting in October. Chip setting up a new status quo. Detective Comics, Nightwing, Batman and Robin, Catwoman, Harley getting new teams. Also, Katie Kubert as the new Batman group editor. Thanks as always, MP. Dropping a super chat, which we love, but also always dropping intelligent commentary.
And some knowledge.
Yes. All that is true.
Yeah.
All that is absolutely true. There is definitely a reset happening specifically in the bat area of things, and bringing on a new editor, that's a shuffling of the deck. That's a pretty common thing. A new editor swoops in and they want to do things a little bit different.
And the Batman line is their moneymaker. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Rami says, sounds that Mark Waid is the new architect for DC for the foreseeable future. That tracks to me.
Which is what he's always wanted, right? So I'm not against that. I know I want like newer voices and younger voices, but I'm a sucker for Mark Waid's DC work.
It's wild how Mark Waid is sort of the freshest one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it really is. It's because it's new for him in a way. He's been rejuvenated by working at Marvel and Indies and stuff for so long because he was blacklisted. It's like he never thought he'd be back here.
Like put Mark Waid on a Teen Titans book and I say, ooh, no, that's stinky. But Mark Waid on literally almost anything else that it's new, it's fresh, it's hip. Like,
well, dude, there are 3 names in the DC stable right now who get me excited for the return of the league.
Yeah.
Mark Waid.
Yep.
PKJ.
Yep.
And Kelly Thompson.
Ice barrier. Oh.
No. Ha ha. those are the people that I would most like to see do the new Justice League book. And I think at the current moment, Mark might be my number one.
Honestly, though, like you put PKJ at a Batman, I'm not against that.
Of course not.
That sounds good too, you know?
But I think his future might be an absolute.
I agree.
Yeah. But maybe, yeah.
I like how talking about this and Williamson and Tini leaving, and none of the discussion is, are they going to Marvel? Because it just doesn't feel like that's the way the comics work anymore.
Tini Howard also did her Marvel stint. Yeah. I suspect that it didn't end. I don't want to say it didn't end pleasantly as if there was beef, but I feel like her and Leah Williams left Marvel unceremoniously. And it seemed to be at a transition period within Krakoa.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
Sort of something like that.
Yeah.
And it could have been financial. You know, I don't know. But it definitely seemed like they both left at the same time. And Vita as well, actually. Vita Ayala also left at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah. So we know about Tini, but we also know that Tom Taylor is leaving Nightwing alongside Bruno Redondo. Now, Bruno is returning to Nightwing to close out the run. He was gone from the book for some time. He's coming back now, but Tom Taylor's run on Nightwing is ending. Now, of course, that's not weird. My man put the time in. They did a lot of work on this character. But the run is coming to a close at the same time as everything else.
It's all that's why, like, because it's all happening at the same time, it has to be a coordinated effort to push them into the next initiative, right? If that's all in, then it's all in, right? And I think that's where this is all going. It's a transitional moment for all of these creators to do something different. And unfortunately, Tom Taylor, they never give him the big thing. So I don't think he's gonna move on from some of these like B characters, the side universe people.
See, I think Tom Taylor is a good person to take to Absolute. The guy has a proven track record when it comes to non-canonical DC books that work, and that's his bread and butter. He's like known for it. He is a well-known name for that, and he has a pretty dedicated fan base. So if you're going to be anchoring a big new initiative that's its own world, he is one of the top names I would pick.
I think that makes a lot of sense because I think his perspective is more modern than I think a lot of his writing. It doesn't mesh well with like the bigger history. You know, I think a lot of people have sort of said something like that with Nightwing. At the same time, both John Kent Superman and Nightwing hit really hard, but it also seems like the people who are long-term fans aren't the people it's hitting with.
This is a have your cake and eat it too situation.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't love a lot of what I've read of Tom post Marvel. I loved pretty much everything at Marvel that he did.
Spider-Man was so good.
X-Men Red, Wolverine, that shit was fire.
Mm-hmm.
But since he's gone to DC, nothing has connected with me. So, whatever he does next, if it's got a number 1 on it, I'll give it a chance. I'll say that much. Whether it's Absolute or otherwise. Rami says Joshua Williamson sounded excited about Marvel work in the Comic Pop podcast. Marvel work. That would be a huge shift if he were to go to Marvel, but he's got an exclusive contract with DC, no?
Does he?
I would imagine, because exclusive these days just means you can't work for the other,
right.
So Tell us more about that, because I didn't hear their most recent collab. So, Rami, if you know something I don't, please share.
That would be big for Marvel, though. Marvel has been having trouble getting, big names for writers on books. And, Spider-Man's freeing up. We'll talk about it later. But that could be big. I just don't, for some reason, I just don't see Marvel as really caring about creators, honestly. They're more about the characters.
I have it in his Substack, January 28th, 23. He's been exclusive to DC since 2016, and he re-signed in 22.
Yeah. So who knows how long he re-signed? Maybe it was a shorter contract. We don't know. Thank you, Marco. That's great research you just did. But I would like to see that, because I feel like Williamson has kind of done it all already at DC. And that's one of the things that comes up when you're that big. They use you for everything, and it's almost like you burn out. Like he's done everything. It's time to see what's on the other side. Maybe the grass is greener.
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Rami said that he asked listeners about which Marvel books they'd like to see him working on. It was maybe 3 podcasts ago.
Okay.
And I'm sure they'd probably want a fantasy book for fun.
Sure.
And maybe if it was, 3 podcasts ago, wouldn't be that long. So maybe he's still sort of in talks.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Also, Rom V's Detective Comics is ending with 1089. We've known that was coming for a while, but again, the alignment of that is very specific. And that's, again, September 25th. Outsiders by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly is also ending with issue 12. That's dropping in October. So all these alignments, all these books ending at the same time, where there's smoke, there's fire, there's something to that. I have no doubt in my mind. What is that leading to? Well, we've got some thoughts about that, but before we get into it, we have 60 plus of you here with us. Make sure you are smashing that like button.
Smashing.
Hulk, smash that like button. Subscribe to us if you are not subscribed. Super chats are open. As you saw, MP earlier broke things off with his super chat. If you want to contribute, please feel free. Join the channel. If you want to, click that join button to become a channel member. Become a VI pal today. All right. Now, the absolute universe is what we've all been thinking about as it relates to DC. That feels like it's the big thing to come. It feels like that's what's in front of us. Now, notably, we have absolutely zero confirmation that it is actually a thing. The same way everybody and their mother heard about 5G, but officially DC had no answer for that, and to this day has made no official statement on it. Absolute is in the same boat. However, I believe that it is happening. And we've got something that alludes to the fact that it is coming really soon. Because Rich Johnson over at Bleeding Cool reports that Diamond told retailers to expect an Ashcan for DC Absolute at San Diego Comic-Con this year.
Diamond said that.
Diamond said it on behalf of DC. This is the exact quote from the article itself. Bleeding Cool gets the news that certain comic book retailers received a note from DC Comics via Diamond that DC Comics is to provide an SDCC 2024 exclusive Absolute Universe Ashcan Special Edition next month at SDCC. And that exhibiting comic book stores would be provided these promotional Ashcans for the new line to share with their customers.
They work with Lunar?
Yeah, but that's for like direct market distribution. They're not completely divorced from Diamond, so there may be certain spaces and instances in which they do work with Diamond. I know or I believe that one of those instances is in
International, I think they
yeah,
do.
international.
Yeah.
So it doesn't strike me weird that Diamond could be involved or could know about this specific thing, since it seems like it's San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Maybe retailers that are exhibiting at the con will get these. I don't know.
And they still work with DC for previews. Like, that still comes out. So there's still a relationship there.
Yeah, that too. Certainly the relationship doesn't not exist. So now the article follows up to say, or maybe not. We get the word that this is not 100% accurate, that DC are not launching an absolute universe, and that comic book stores will not be getting free bundles of Ashcans. I get the feeling that a lot of this is to do with the specific wording being used here, Tom Brevoort style, but I can confirm this is a sign that something is coming, and it looks like it's coming for San Diego Comic-Con. For what it's worth, Scott Snyder has alluded to something major coming for a long time. The article goes on to say, in his newsletter, Scott Snyder said, also, I've been gearing up, like I said on Twitter, for some big announcements next month. So I'm trying to kind of lay low a little bit this month, just enjoy the quiet, hang out with family and friends. Come on. What is he talking about?
Yeah.
We heard as far back as New York Comic Con 2023 from an extremely reliable source that this was coming. At the same time that Rich Johnson started reporting on it. Scott Snyder has talked about something big this summer happening for months. Al Ewing has talked about being a part of a new writer's room type of situation, not dissimilar from Krakoa, and that announcements would be made about that next month.
Yep.
This is happening.
Yeah, no more Scott Tober. We're getting Scott Summers. Oh, wait.
Hey.
I don't think they could do that one, actually.
Murphy said, Diamond being a next level hater and leaking when DC moved on. Hell yeah, love mess.
Well, they're trying to let retailers know, and that's always the hardest thing about keeping things secret in comics, is that you have to let retailers know what's going on. You have to hype them up.
Chad Cowder in the chat. Isn't there a new DC logo unveil rumor at SDCC 2? Could be a huge relaunch. Not sure if I've heard of that, but for this entire initiative, that'd be wild. When was the last time they did that?
I did read about that somewhere. I think somebody posted on the Discord that there is a rumor about DC unveiling a new logo, which can't be worse than the new 52 one. So
yeah,
2016 was the last one, so maybe
yeah.
it's time.
Marvel just unveiled their new logo, even though allegedly it's all in-house. But yeah, it seems like it would be due time for a refresh. And if they're going to be launching a new initiative, and obviously absolute, then yeah, that makes total sense. I buy it.
Bring back the bullet design. That's what I want.
Reach.
Yeah, I'm with that. So again, it looks as though absolute is on the horizon, and that we will have information about it as early as San Diego Comic-Con. Does this launch in October?
I think so. DC loves a fall shakeup. It used to be September used to be their month, but they typically like to go into that so then they could run through the holidays for a bit. I could see it happening.
I see it. I think DC Comics is staking their claim, and they're ready to own October. That's what I think. I think they want to own October. And if they can, then they're going to own the rest of the year. If they launch Absolute Comics and All In at the same time, then they're going to own the rest of the year. Because as far as we know right now, the only thing Marvel is interested in doing is putting out fucking Red Band comics. Yeah. That's all they want to do. Red Band this, that, and the fucking third.
And this would line up with the books coming out for New York Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
Which they haven't had presence at in years. So I'm curious, like, if they'll announce some kind of presence at New York Comic Con this year.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And then from there, right, strong end to the year, you have all of your number zeros, your number ones, you're setting up the foundation, and then boom, new year. This is how we dive right in, right? We're coming out of the summer event, going into a new fall initiative, and the start of the year is blank slate. This is what we're doing now.
Doing a great impression of their quarterly earnings call, Marco.
Chad Cowder says Bleeding Cool reported about DC logo redesigns in May. Totally. Yes, I remember that. These things are all happening. People always love to shit on Bleeding Cool and Rich Johnson, but somehow my man always nails it, you know, like, especially when it comes to DC. He's tapped in. I don't think if this were Marvel, I don't think he would have all this information. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited. And I think a big part of where my excitement is coming from is the fact that DC right now appears to actually have a desire to do something exciting. And Marvel seems to be comfortable sitting on their hands. Blood Hunt, sales aside, Blood Hunt is a dud. Blood Hunt is DOA. Whatever's coming after that, we don't know about. And I have no reason to be excited about it because Blood Hunt is a dud. It feels right now like DC's competition for excitement isn't Marvel, it's Skybound and the Energon universe.
Yeah.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well,
dude, we're going to talk about 300,000 orders for TMNT. Marvel ain't sniffing that, and neither is DC, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Marvel is only ending stuff now. Like, they're not even, and it's not ending it in the sense that like DC is clearly ending a whole bunch of Bat titles, which can allude to something. It's like, no, She-Hulk's ending, Spider-Man's ending. They're not really connected in any way editorially, so it doesn't really smell like anything. And like, they're ending their Star Wars comics too, unceremoniously.
Well,
so
I mean, they're going into a new era with them.
Why? Oh, they're ending the main titles completely.
Yeah, but they're going to Star Wars and Darth Vader are ending because they're moving on to a new era of Star Wars stories. They're done with the trilogy era.
Oh, okay. Okay. I wasn't sure about that. I thought they were ending it completely for
my understanding was I was at this is backed up because I was at a party with one of the writers of the High Republic.
Oh, wow, what's high society like?
It was like an initial like 5-year plan, and then like the second phase is ending now, and then they're going into another.
Okay.
Yeah.
Atomic Count says the Ultimate line at Marvel's still pretty hot. Ultimate's #1 fire. Ultimate's #1 is probably my favorite individual comic of the year.
Yep.
So I'm with you on that. But it just feels like that's all they have.
Yeah. Because even the rest of the Ultimate stuff it's a very mixed bag.
People are turning on Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Black Panther is good, but I don't know if it's great. And I'm not even going to talk about Ultimate X-Men.
You can't. You and I disagree with literally everyone. So
yeah.
And
how could you?
We're not even talking about mainline X-Men either.
That's what I was going to say. Even X-Men, they're leaning into or leaning away from Krakoa so hard. It doesn't seem like anybody's really excited about what's being announced.
Yeah.
It's universal meh in terms of excitement for the new X-Men era. And that sucks. It sucks for the creators involved, who I'm sure are all trying really hard. I think that they got dealt a bad hand, but the facts are that right now, until we get a comic book in front of us, people are just unenthused, and Marvel has to do something to get people back on their side. They have new competition now. The industry is opening up. And DC is saying, hey, we're not going to be left in the dust.
They'll just release a movie about it, and it'll be fine.
Make that MCU money. I think it's interesting that there's these 3 players, and you're no longer making moves thinking about, oh, what is Marvel gonna do. You can't be lazy about it anymore, because Skybound wasn't lazy. They've been meticulous. They've planned this out. DC has responded in and I think to what you're saying right now, the Marvel stuff has been, we're revamping, we're relaunching. We're not coming with something fresh and new, even though it's under the guise of it's a fresher take on the X-Men, but we're kind of going back to basics. The Avengers right now are new, but we're gonna inject some kind of familiarity in there. You're not pushing a boundary.
They have their X-Men writer also writing Avengers, so like in terms of voices, there's not much variety. I mean, great for Jed McKay. I'm enjoying the books, but there's not much different voices being heard at Marvel right now.
The thing is, too, that their Uncanny X-Men writer, which is like flagship X-Men, is Gail Simone, and at the same time, she is writing a huge Action Comics story that people seem to be more excited about than they're excited about her working on X-Men. That's nuts. Absolutely nuts. Dan says, and yet the Met will likely still lead the industry in sales. It will take a serious knock to get them out of their malaise. Yeah.
Hopefully that's, weirdly enough, G.I. Joe.
Yeah, like I think the sales numbers for the other books have to be that high, and I think when we talk about the let me see if I can say it, in mean age needle teetles. Once we finally end up talking about that, is in the chat. Catherine Stars, TMNT. Maybe these are the things that are waking people up, or waking the competition up. Atomic Hound says Skybound holds the strongest hand at this point, but there's room for more to position themselves as their primary competitor in terms of quality. They're bringing the quality, they're bringing this cohesive universe, and they're building it off of the back of an IP that is familiar, but familiar to a core set of a fan base, but being brought and positioned in a way that is like, it's new enough for you to join in on the fun at the ground level. And we've been hearing it in our community. So many people have found their way through to Skybound and to the Energon universe because of all those things, as opposed to, let me go back and explore some of the DC Marvel stuff.
But even stuff like Ghost Machine is happening right now too. Like more opportunities for creators to own their stuff more.
And I'd like to point out, that's another Image company.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, damn, yeah.
Remember, we did a video not too long ago about like what happened to Image. It's just happening in their subsidiaries.
Yeah.
Chad says, what could Skybound come out with that would hit big? A new Invincible series? No, I mean they just launched G.I. Joe #1.
Yeah.
That G.I. Joe #1 is going to hit huge. All their books are hitting huge. Scarlet had orders of what was it, like, I don't want to throw a number out. I don't recall what the exact number was, but I believe they're all over 100K.
And it's back for second printing for like another order, I think.
It's huge for a secondary G.I. Joe character miniseries. Like, that sentence should not really mean the amount of orders it got, but that's just like a showing how good Energon is right now.
I've got 80,000 plus orders as of May 21st.
Yeah. That's
#1.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Brian Adkins asks, has DC announced when they're bringing back the League and who will be on the book? They definitely haven't. That's something that's up in the air and likely will be until Absolute Power resolves or we get solicits for October, which is the thing that sucks, right? Like, I would much rather Absolute Power end and then in the back of the book, it's like, coming, next month, Justice League #1, and that's how we learn about it. but that's just not how the comic book industry works, unfortunately. So we will probably know the answer to that before the resolution of Absolute Power. But as of right now, we do not know that. I would look to San Diego next month. That's what I would look to.
In the chat, Rami brings up a good point. Did anyone see the Skybound Kickstarter numbers? I just pulled it up. It had a goal of $50,000.
But wait, what's the Kickstarter for?
Skybound is putting a Kickstarter for G.I. Joe Real American Hero Compendium set. So it's a hardcover collection of the original G.I. Joe comics. So they're launching with this in tandem with the rest of stuff that's coming out.
This would have been the stuff that IDW or Marvel published.
Yeah.
Okay. Larry Hama, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it doesn't say within here necessarily.
Well, that's beyond the purview of this conversation.
Well, the point there just being that they're the investment there and the fervor is for Skybound and for this property. That number, that J. Joe #1 is going to hit so hard.
MP says if DC is smart, they'll release Justice League #1 the same day as Absolute Power #4. You could. I like a bit of a buffer.
They probably want a bit of a buffer too in terms of buzz.
Yeah.
That's the Stranger Things issue. You know,
you gotta have a reason to get people through the door multiple times. DC is in a prime position right now in a way that they haven't been in a long time. I think Dawn of DC laid great groundwork. I know that the numbers don't always reflect it when we're talking about DC Comics, but I think Dawn of DC laid great groundwork. Now, Absolute and All In have to be the push that gets DC to the position that they're supposed to be in. Batman needs to be a top 2 book. I'm sorry, it does. It does. And when Justice League relaunches, that has to be a top 5 book. Absolute has to have some books, Absolute Batman #1 or whoever, Absolute whatever #1 has to have a position in that top 5 space. They need to kick Energon the fuck out of the top 5. Not because I want that, but because that's what DC needs.
Speaking of Absolute, did you see any of the backups this week with the preview for it?
Yeah.
Dude, whoever's coloring Dan Mora is doing some massively good work in that.
Yeah.
Do you think though that we're in a place now in comics where DC should be expecting that? Like, I know that they want the 1, 2, 3 spot position. Same way Marvel might want that, but is that the way that the market's shifting? It feels like the Energon stuff. It feels like maybe some of the, I guess it depends the image book, but they're not occupying the same spaces, and the competitors are now moving into those #1, 2 positions.
It's not just Energon though. Like Thundercats was in the top 10. You know, it's a Dynamite
that's
book.
Fucking Dynamite. Like,
yeah. So I think it's more that people are hungry for IP. And I think that's why, Jason Aaron's Scrooge McDuck just came out, and it wasn't from Dynamite. It was Marvel published. So I think there is a fervor for, hey, there's these things I like that I have a whole bunch of Funko Pops for that I want to read about.
Well, and with not only hungry for IP, but hungry for IP with talent behind it. I don't think you can just fart out a Young Justice comic anymore. It's based on the TV show. People want it to be good. If you want me to buy it, give me a reason.
There's a reason why Kelly Thompson is on a Powerpuff Girls book. A Powerpuff Girls book that came out 10 years ago, I couldn't tell you who was on it.
Yep.
Oh, that's going to hit fucking hard.
And the same with Turtles. Like we had our own opinions on it, on that alpha issue, but say what you want. Can you say who the writer was on Turtles previously? My point exactly.
Eastman.
But I think it's just the Fortniteification of just entertainment. Like people see characters they like, and they just want more of that, and they want it in these big worlds where they can experience it and get it in multiple ways.
But you make that argument for Batman, right? Superman. What's the difference there in terms of IP? That's an IP that has the nostalgia, that has its presence first and foremost in comics. But why are these things sort of superseding that?
I think it's perceived barrier of entry. I think it's tricky for people to hop in, and I think that's why Absolute DC is going to kill it if they can market it correctly. Like, hey, new starting point. This is Batman. This is the guy you liked from those Lego movies. This is the guy you liked as Robert Pattinson. Jump in on this. I think it's going to do really well if they can market it correctly.
The New 52 was hot at first. Being able to have, number ones and entry points for those characters was a big deal. I was already reading comics. I had been reading comics for, like 5 years at that time. And I didn't read not a DC, nothing outside of Batman and Green Lantern. After the New 52, when the New 52 launched, I was buying everything because I could actually understand what was going on. And they were focusing on not obscure people. Look at the Justice League team right before New 52. That team was insane. Who the fuck was even on that team?
Kongorilla.
Awful, awful, awful. So yeah, I do think that DC being able to simultaneously launch number ones in an Ultimate style new universe, and on top of that, be able to have fresh jumping on points for some of their, titles in the mainline universe with a new snazzy banner, maybe a new logo. I think that's a fresh coat of paint that DC needs. Yes, I would say that. But I would also say that the reason why Energon is so successful isn't just because of Batman and Superman feeling inaccessible. I think that generally speaking, people are just excited for new. Batman and Superman simply aren't new to comics. Transformers are not new to comics, but it is a new universe. It is a genuinely fresh thing with creators that from stuff you like elsewhere. That's not common.
And they're crossing over. Like this is a world where Transformers and G.I. Joe exist in the same world, which is their another Fortniteification of it. But yeah.
Man, what an exciting time. What an exciting time to be reading comics, right? This is awesome. Brian Adkins says DC screwed up with Heroes in Crisis with Wally West and then letting Bendis age up Superboy Jonathan Kent.
I think those are microaggressions in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, I think they were pretty. I think they were pretty massive. I don't think there was anything micro about it.
Heroes in Crisis being what it was at that time, man, that was messed up. That was really messed up. It really was. And as far as John Kent, if you think about how interesting it was that Superman had a child and how that, what helped Superman get to the place that he's at now, right? In terms of popularity, in terms of the book selling, Action Comics sells really well. What helped that more than Jonathan Kent being introduced? That is really where it all sort of started. And then aging him up and taking him off the board was ridiculous.
And they immediately regretted it because they were doing out of storyline Super Sons books because Super Sons did so well.
Yeah. And frankly, that's something that hampered Robin at the same time.
Yep.
And now Jonathan Kent is a ghost and they don't know what to do with him. And PKJ introduced those two kids from the War World stuff because Superman needs to be a dad.
That's what got me into modern Superman, was once he became a father.
Me too.
Yep.
Me too. Yeah, MP, perfectly on point. Wally West was the face of Rebirth after being erased by the New 52. Heroes in Crisis killed a lot of goodwill, 100%. And DC has to stop doing that. They have to stop killing the goodwill of the people. It happens all the time.
Yep.
Sans Group Collectibles said DC will flop. I just don't believe in their ability to consistently capture the reader. Skybound has the buzz, and Marvel will launch more goodies this fall. Well, unfortunately, that is a common, belief with DC that they always fumble it. They had a hot hand with Dawn of DC. They put out Night Terrors. That sucked.
Yep.
They had a hot hand with Rebirth. They put out Heroes in Crisis. That sucked. That's kind of their MO. By the way, Sans, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. I actually did a guest spot on Sans podcast a few months ago. Sans a good guy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So by that track, Absolute Power is gonna fucking rule. It's just after here in a couple months we're gonna have to adjust our expectations.
Yeah, we'll have a State of DC Comics episode afterwards.
Yeah.
State of Absolute.
Yeah. Are we excited for what DC has coming out?
I am.
Huh.
I love a shuffle.
I'm in I don't want to say jaded territory, but I'm guarded when it comes to my excitement. Because then I could be surprised by a Blood Hunt #1, but then Blood Hunt #2 comes out and I'm not into it anymore. So I like to stay even keel now when it comes to my comic book announcements because I recognize the patterns and the changing of the seats at the table constantly. So I don't know if excited is the word, but I guess I'm looking forward to it if there's a distinction between the two.
My heart's ready to bleed. Get my expectations up, take it, and then you gotta stomp it. I'm excited. Looking forward to it.
Oh, man. I'm a Marvel guy through and through. I bleed red, but DC right now feels like they have the hot hand. Other than Ultimates, I can tell you genuinely that there's nothing that I am really excited about from Marvel. I mean, I'm excited for Uncanny X-Men. Gail Simone, Marquez, that's a really hot team. But outside of that, there's just nothing that's exciting me at Marvel. DC is trying something. They're trying something that I think is exciting. And I'm ready to believe again. But this is it. This is it, DC. You're not going to fuck me again. Not again. I'm not going to open up to you again. This is the last time.
Until next time.
No. No more.
I'm
closed. My heart will be closed to DC Comics if they screw this up.
Thank you for confirming you're talking about your heart. Got it.
Yes.
Not the wallet.
My wallet too. Of course, my wallet. My wallet too. I don't want to see. Listen. Give me Scott Snyder. Give me PKJ. Give me Kelly Thompson, Josh Williamson, Al Ewing. People like that. Leave some people out. You guys know that meme of that white bodyguard guarding the door?
Yeah.
Yeah. He needs to guard the door to Absolute and keep certain people out. I'm not going to say names. I'm not going to do that. But they need to be kept out the door.
I will say, there's some names that are leaving Marvel right now that could be good for non-Absolute DC to do stuff at the mainline books. Rainbow Rowell leaving She-Hulk. Great person to get at DC if they can. Zeb is leaving Spider-Man. Maybe grab him for something. Who needs to be cucked at DC? Green Arrow. There we go. Put him on Green Arrow.
That one's ending. Atomic Hound, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm more intrigued than excited, but I will definitely be, quote, all in.
Well, listen, you just gave us that super chat. That's one less DC comic you're gonna be able to pay for.
All in for.
Come on, not
Appreciate-
all in.
That's Future Hound's problem.
Appreciate the $9.99, buddy. Thank you so much.
Brian Atkins. We all feel like Charlie Brown in the football. Yo, word.
Hey, that's comics.
Literally,
comics.
that's literally comics.
Oh, looks like they announced
Working comics.
a new Peanuts #1 written by Jason Aaron. Okay, well,
Oh boy.
Yo,
Mike Elliott, go ahead.
sorry, Heroes in Crisis 2 is announced by Tom King and Absolute DC.
and my dumb ass will buy it.
Get excited for it too.
And I'm going to be the killer in that book. If that happens, if that gets announced, it'll be me. You won't have to wonder. It ain't going to be Wally. It's not going to be Harley. It's going to be me.
Tom's been watching us for years. He's actually our biggest fan. He's been writing us into comics this whole time.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. MP says Rebirth was also hurt by its architect Jeff Johns, focusing more on his movie career over comics, hence Doomsday Clock delays. No, dude, come on. That happened because DC Comics solicited Doomsday Clock 6 months early because they needed something big for New York Comic Con, and they bamboozled Jeff and Gary, who were not ready and were promised that they would have ample lead time. So, let's be fair.
And that's also the time Didio was planning big changes at DC that then we have a whole series of podcasts for.
Very true. Oh, man. You guys are great. Loving all the comments. MP says, oh, say name, Sean, please. I can't. I don't come on this podcast to shit on people. It's not my bag. But I'm sure we can all figure it out. I just want Absolute to feel exciting, to feel excellent. I want great stories out of it. And DC has a stable of creators that can deliver that. They really do. I think their stable is better than Marvel's.
Well,
right
I think they have a stable. Where Marvel doesn't really feel like they do. There's no real cohesion, I think, going on in the line right now.
This Ashcan that's presumably happening. What are the 5 heroes that need to be present in this Ashcan?
It depends on what it is. So if we're assuming it's Absolute, Superman and Batman, easy.
Then you get Wonder Woman, you get Aquaman probably.
Flash.
And then
Green Lantern.
Green Lantern is probably the other one, yeah.
I don't think Aquaman goes.
Yeah, I think
He's on ice.
Yeah.
trapped underwater.
We need a Green Lantern, whether it's Jon Stewart or Sojourner. I think it's got to be one of those two. Let Hal Jordan rock out in the mainline universe.
You think
Let's get some melanin in Absolute.
Yara Flor as Wonder Woman?
No.
She's mean. I like her. But no, it's not
Not
doing, we're not doing
that
5G.
good.
Not an Absolute. No.
I want her there. And you don't think we JSA?
You got to think of this as an ultimate DC. So I think similar to the New 52, we've got to start at what everybody knows. Maybe at some point they'll add a JSA down the line, but if they're doing that, what's the point of the Absolute?
I think in the launch line, there's probably room for one curveball, but outside of that, I think it's going to be pretty straightforward.
I'm aligned with that.
Yeah.
Chad Cowder asks, do we think there might be a major swerve on any of the Absolute versions? If you're talking about characters and their character, I think there's always space for that, but I think DC's characters are weird. They feel to me, and I'm open to being wrong about this. They feel to me more archetypical and thus less malleable. Whereas Marvel characters always feel to me like you can do whatever you want with them.
Here's a controversial thought. an absolute version of Batman where he starts as an antagonist to the good guys.
Okay, Zack Snyder.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but do it better.
And
make him legit. Like, this dude's a threat. We either gotta get rid of him or we gotta put him on the team.
Like Tower of Babel. He's like has all the stuff and
I think
that would be a cool swerve.
That would be a cool swerve.
I do think
it would make people furious, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
well, there's the absolute. I think Sean's right though. Like I think like Morrison talked about it, they are gods, really.
Yeah.
These superheroes are gods and they have distinct origins that are you can time shift a bit, but I don't think you can get rid of the core elements.
Sure.
I think there are people like Wonder Woman, which you can because that's never really been solidified and it's always been wishy-washy. So I think there are outliers, but Superman, Batman are pretty straightforward. Even something like Green Lantern is pretty straightforward. Maybe they can change it, but
I think Wonder Woman being less nailed down has hampered that character for a very long
agreed.
time.
Yeah. Because every time the new book needs to start, they need to retell that and try to solidify it, and nobody cares to keep it, steady.
I like that idea of these characters starting off as antagonistic. Wonder Woman can be, an isolationist leader. Same with Aquaman. Maybe they have...
hey, it's Flashpoint.
Oh, well.
I was going to say, it's like fascist Captain America. Oh, it's Ultimate Marvel.
Oh my God. I just love the fact that Marco felt like he was pitching some new shit. And it's like, wait, that's actually.
Were you going to have a Wonder Woman and Aquaman kiss too, Marco?
I was going to say they're
yep.
Two forces joined. Yeah.
Oh man. Brian Adkins asks, is Harley Quinn still popular? Yes.
Yeah, very much so.
The big three of DC Comics is Batman, Superman, Harley Quinn. Wonder Woman is there because people put her there because it's Wonder Woman, but that hasn't been true for some time. If you're talking about sales, if you're talking about like actual popularity, if you go to a Comic-Con, I'm not going to say it for a fact, but I suspect you'll probably see more Harley Quinns and Wonder Womans.
Dude, I went to Six Flags the other day, and they had a shop that half of the store was Harley Quinn merch.
I believe it.
And there was a small display for Wonder Woman stuff.
Yeah. I believe it. All right. This has been a massive conversation. We are not done with the show by any means.
Believe it or not.
Yeah, quite a bit more show to do here. So stick around. Don't you go anywhere. Because we're going to be talking about TMNT. We're going to be talking about Amazing Spider-Man, Zeb Wells, and Romita's run ending, which I'm sure many of you are excited about, but guess who's not? And we're going to talk about all the problems that the Blade film is having. So we've got a lot coming up on the docket. Now, you guys here are so supportive. We appreciate you supporting us. We appreciate you hanging out. If you want to go the extra mile for your pals, the best way to do that is to head on over to patreon.com/thecomicspals, where we are always giving you more bang for your buck. We have an exclusive show over there that you've probably never heard of if you're not a patron, called Palling Around. We talk about whatever we want, unfiltered over there. We've got newsletters that go out every single week, but most importantly, you get a nickname and a shout out here on this very show. And so I want to give a special shout out to the best pals in the universe: Thunderstruck Rebecca Alejandro, the Hound of Justice Atomic Hound, Starcross Catherine Stars, and the Red Spiral Storm. And I also want to thank the Night Stalker Harris Nijinsky, Brian Demolish Del Pozo, Kefis the Incorruptible, Momentum Mike Elliott, Dan the Truth Trudeau, Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer, Marley Manistorm, Slow Flow Dameron, Christian Uncaged Harriet, Always Laughing, the Spear of Justice Izzy Spears, the Great Destroyer Hyper Viper 89, the Storm of Pain Sanji San, Adam and Bernie the Best Boy, Robert Run It Back Kasha Back, Pete the Dreamweaver Collins, and Matthew Malice Price. Thank you all so much. Love how long that list is getting. And if you want to add to it, then you can do that over on Patreon. There was a little conversation this week over on the Discord server about the Palsverse comic.
Hey, people are asking for it.
Yeah, I feel like there's more and more chatter about that as we go along, and it's going to happen one day because I want it that bad. That's how it works.
We too will announce it at SDCC.
No, we will not.
Well,
not this year.
And SDCC.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's very exciting to me. And everybody who's a member of our Patreon, everybody who gets a nickname and a shout out will be in that comic one day. So I look forward to that. Also, thank you to everybody who helped us celebrate our 400th episode. Whether you wrote in, whether you sent in a video, an audio, you just hang out with us live, all of that was beautiful, really, really touching to us. Thank you so much for that. It is still X-Men month, though, and it is still Pals month. So for X-Men month, we are doing our Astonishing X-Men book club this Wednesday. This Wednesday, 26th, we're going to be talking all of Joss Whedon and John Cassaday's Astonishing X-Men. That's 25 issues. So you've got some time to start your reread or your first read if you are so inclined. This is one of my favorite runs that I've read. I really enjoyed it. I'm a huge fan of Joss Whedon. Obviously, you know, we've learned a lot about him since then, but his work to me is untouchable, and I really enjoyed this. So I can't wait to talk about it. That's going to be this Wednesday at 6 p.m.
I'm looking forward to that one. Never finished it, so cool. Cool to get to do so.
Hell yeah. What else? Oh, yeah. We're going to do a giveaway today. We should do that. Yeah. Who still hasn't given away a book? Marco?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So we'll do that. We're going to do a giveaway today. And we'll do it. How about we do it a little differently? How about later on in the show, I'm going to ask for people to leave something in the chat. And everybody who does will be entered into the giveaway. That's what we'll do. That's how we're going to do it this time around. So if you want to be up, go ahead, Tyler.
I was going to say, so we get people who win who are actually available to know they won. Yeah.
If you want to be a part of the giveaway, you have to stick around. And then we will get to that later on in the show. Brian Adkins says, I really enjoyed Astonishing X-Men until the end with Kitty. I'm sure we'll have thoughts. We'll have thoughts about that in the book club episode. Some excitement for Astonishing. That's cool to see. I like that book. Catherine says, Palsverse comic coming 2025. Hell yeah. Atomic Hound says, just be sure to get my likeness correct, please. We'll do our best. We've got some artists in our community. We've got some people. Pete Collins seemed to throw his hat in the ring last week.
Yeah.
Gavin is well known now. He's a DC guy now, so he might be too big for us, but I would love to conscript him for that down the road. Who knows? Who knows?
I'll get an Apple Pencil and figure it out.
Oh boy.
Hey, listen, I don't know if you've seen my Patreon comics. An Apple Pencil won't help you figure it out.
Oh man, always a lot of fun in our community. Join our Discord server to keep aware of everything that's going on that side of things. Let's get into the news. And there are congratulations in order.
You.
Wait, what are we celebrating for you?
Well, I don't know. You just said some congratulations were in order. I assumed it was for me.
No.
Who else?
I've been having a good week.
You made it through.
Good for you. You know who else is having a good week? IDW.
Oh.
IDW is having a great week. Jason Aaron having a great week. Joel Jones, great week. Why? Because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 has surpassed 300,000 orders. 300,000. Now, let me put that into context for you real fast. What that means is that stores across the US and internationally, I guess, have ordered 300,000 collective copies of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. That does not mean that 300,000 individual fans, individual readers of comics, have ordered the book. That is not the way the comic book industry works. It means that stores have ordered 300,000 overall copies of the book. That is still a huge number. That is something to celebrate because most books do not get anywhere close to that amount of orders. That is crazy. We were talking about how big of a deal it was that Thundercats had 175,000, which is half. And at this moment in time, Batman would love to get 150K.
Yeah.
And TMNT is blowing everything out of the water. So for Jason Aaron's sake, this is a huge feather in his cap. Huge, huge feather.
Well, for IDW's sake, they put well-known creatives on this book. They invested, presumably money,
Of course,
and resources into this relaunch. And it's proving to be a good investment so far.
I am excited for this. I really, really love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but you know, the comics, I was reading them and I fell off just because I was like, oh, all right, I've had enough. Jason Aaron is I should say I was way more excited for this before I read Aaron's Punisher, which I just caught up with, and wasn't it, to say the least. But I'm hoping that now that he's working on something like this, where he's outside of the big two playpen and he can kind of do what he wants, I'm hoping that this is going to be, you know, a return to form for Aaron. The Alpha issue didn't give me that level of excitement, but it's Jason Aaron, right? Are we excited?
The man who did Thor?
Who had a plan for Thor? I'm sure he has a plan for Ninja Turtles.
Well, one has to have.
Chat, are we excited? Is TMNT #1 on your pull list? Is that going to be in your stack when it drops?
Are people excited about Jason Aaron, especially after like Thor? Sure, but his Avengers?
Is this more of a
like
case?
You say, Punisher?
Is this more of a case that it's just new Ninja Turtles #1? They just had a really good movie come out. There's a lot of fan fervor for it, and there's a name that's recognizable. I don't know. Unsure.
My answer to that, Kale, is I don't think that people are looking at it as, oh man, I'm so excited because it's Jason Aaron, right? It's like specifically, I think it's more like, oh man, it's TMNT, which I really love, and it's a creator who has cachet, whose name I know that has done big stuff. That's how I'm looking at it. I don't think it's dissimilar from a lot of the stuff we're seeing with Energon. It's just that on the Energon side of things, they've proven themselves with the books that have come out now. You know, Duke hit, Cobra hit, Scarlet hit. If TMNT 1 hits, they're in the money.
Yeah.
And then you can get into spinoffs. A Raphael #1.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing the Mutant Island stuff as well. That's impending.
Maybe make like a Bebop and Rocksteady book. That would be a draw for me. I love those character designs.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot of potential. Mixed in the chat as far as whether you guys are excited or not. Murphy saying Jason Aaron was good 10 years ago. Same with Gale on X-Men Zero Sauce.
Damn.
Very mixed.
Very mixed.
Like a good sauce.
Yeah, yeah.
I want it to be good. I really do.
You know, we'll see on execution. The art looks cool. It's just a matter of is it gonna land for us, and at the very least, because it is a number one, it's always gonna be that jumping on point. Although the alpha, I don't know.
And in Joelle Jones on number one, like there's probably a lot less art that's similar to hers that she could have traced on for this number one. Sorry, that was low blow.
A lot of turtle action.
I think doing the relaunch with a few different artists is an interesting choice that I think people will be attracted to once they see people like Burnham being involved. Joelle Jones' name is a draw. I mean, not like a major draw, but there's some heat there. So overall, whether or not the book ends up being good is ancillary to the fact that they got 300,000 orders for number one. That's insane. Number two might have half that, but we'll see.
Still good, honestly.
Yeah.
That's still good.
Even a
Half
half
that is
drop.
insane.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. John Horchler says, just wondering, why are you passing stuff that I'm asking? Have subscribed again. Just a thought. Did you unsubscribe to us at some point? That's not nice. Dude, there are 70 people here or whatever. There's just a lot of chatter. It's not personal. Like, if you want to guarantee we answer you, super chat. Otherwise, like, it's the Wild West. It's not personal.
We're also 3 weeks behind on some of these. So.
What do you mean, Marco?
Never mind. That was a comment that he had made. He made it last time he had joined as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of mixed thoughts on TMNT. I'm trying number one. Aaron Ruiz says, Uncanny Suit says, I'm not a Turtles fella, but I'll check it. Can always re-gift some issues to my bros who were born in the 80s if I don't like them.
It seems like a slight on people born in the 80s. That was a weird way of calling people old.
I mean, listen, we are. Andrew Smith says, I decided to pull it before I knew who Aaron was for sure.
Mm.
Okay.
What did you discover about Jason Aaron that made you word it that way? Like, did you read Scalped, or did you realize what happened with Southern Bastards? I don't know.
Or the mediocrity of Avengers. Like,
he could just mean that he decided to pull it sight unseen. Like, it didn't matter who was on the book. Brian Adkins asks a good question. It does make me wonder if the Energon hype will still be there a year from now, 5, 10 years from now. That's a big question, and I have a lot of thoughts that I just don't think we should get into right now. But I will say that is going to depend on quality. And I also think it's going to depend on what happens with the movies and television stuff. If that stuff hits, it's only going to be a boom. It's only going to get bigger. Especially if they play it smart.
Yeah, if they have a plan, and it looks like they do, they are planning for this.
The long term of that, and if that film universe kicks off, that's it. Just more money in the bank.
Yeah. This is good. The next story is good or bad depending on your perspective. Because Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr.'s time on Amazing Spider-Man is coming to an end. This fall, they are getting into their final arc. Marvel is claiming this is, quote, Spidey's most brutal battle. Spider-Man is going to face off with Tombstone, and that appears to be how they're going to kick off the finale arc. Or I should say the finale arc will come after the battle with Tombstone, which I really don't know why we need to go back to Tombstone. I know that the situation between them hasn't been resolved, but nothing is ever resolved in comics. I just don't think Tombstone is that hot of a villain to go back to right now.
I thought it ended on like a truce, like an understood truce.
Well, the truce was not mutual because Tombstone has been doing things behind the scenes, and then he also was embarrassed by the fact that Spider-Man had helped him, and he lost respect in the streets. So now he's like trying to angle back for that.
You start with Tombstone, you have a big fight with Tombstone in the middle, you close out with Tombstone. It's poetic.
I know a lot of people hate this run. I'm sure a lot of the chat is rejoicing about this ending. I'm not done.
I'm with you, Sean. I'm digging it. I'm digging it more than the Spencer run that preceded it.
Oh yeah.
I think the return to a more street level Spider-Man and building out his cast of characters, I think has been really fun. And like, I know JRJR people are mixed on modern day JRJR, but like that McGinnis stuff has been phenomenal. I like the Chasm stuff with Ben Reilly and kind of giving him his own persona.
Yeah.
Hollow's Eve, one of my favorite new characters to come out in a long time. Even though she's not a new character, the persona of Hollow's Eve is. I've had a lot of fun with this run.
Yeah, I mean, me too. Paul and all. Paul and all. Listen, Paul is the biggest new Marvel character.
Yep.
In the last couple of years.
He's genuinely a refreshing shakeup to the Parker franchise.
What new character do people talk about more than Paul?
Yep.
Even as a meme.
Did you see that Deadpool 2, his girlfriend Morena Baccarin has a boyfriend now? And then somebody was like, "Who wrote this?" Yeah. Oh, Zeb Wells.
It's true, and it's true, and that's insane. Maybe that's, I don't know if something is going on in Zeb's personal life. Maybe he's got a Paul in his life.
Right what you know, right?
Exactly. He don't know shit about radioactive spiders, but he does know something about getting cooked. And maybe that's the case. But regardless of the fact, the matter is that he has introduced a character that people are caring about. Does care mean they like him? No, that doesn't mean that. All it means is that people are talking about it. And clearly, people are buying the book. You can't hate him that much.
It usually tops the charts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's eliciting an emotional reaction. That's what art is.
Exactly.
Hendrik Perry, Paul is a multiversal constant.
Yes, Hendrik. And welcome. That is absolutely right.
Manny says Wells's Norman has been incredible. I kind of agree. The situations he's been put in, no, but I think the characterization of Norman himself has been really good.
John asks, how was the Spider-Man book? I used to read it, but people today say it sucks. I mean, that's up to you. That's individual. I say it's great. Tyler likes it, you know?
And I'll say anytime that we feel like we reviewed it, maybe me and Kale more so, there was nothing like wrong with the comic. It was constructed well, crafted well. It wasn't our taste, but it was craft.
Yeah, genuinely, like my thing with this is that it feels like Spider-Man. You know, like the broader strokes of Zeb Wells or not, like the Doc Ock stuff hit like a Spider-Man book.
Yeah.
And it was good.
It kind of feels like a return to like the animated Spider-Man in terms of like bringing those like Tombstone as a character that's a threat, you know, like these characters that have been like Living Brain. When has it ever been a character that actually mattered at Marvel? But Zeb brings it in here and makes it have a reason for that character to exist. Kraven kind of gets reborn here as well. It's done some really good stuff for the villains.
It's exciting to me. It's exciting and fresh. And I haven't cared since Dan Slott. I haven't been able to care since Slott. What happens next? Who do you get to do ASM? I wouldn't say that Zeb Wells is an A-list name. And so when Zeb was announced on the book, I was only surprised because I thought that from Nick Spencer you would go up or similar. Obviously, Nick Spencer's star has fallen. I think him ushering in the Substack era kind of alienated him from the big two. But Zeb Wells, if you go back to when the baton was passed, Zeb Wells' name was definitely not as big as Nick Spencer's.
Yeah.
So who do you go to from here?
What do they have? I mean, the X line's kind of coming apart. So,
honestly, I mean, I mentioned her name earlier, but I think Rainbow Rowell is a good person. Her She-Hulk has been, but I know Sean literally reeled back in his seat with that one. But I think like she does really good work with an ensemble cast, and I think taking the baton from Zeb, where there is a bit of an ensemble cast here, could work.
I think it's too small scale, or she's too small scale at the moment.
But you, I mean, like you just said though, like what was Zeb?
Zeb was a lot bigger of a name than Rainbow Rowell, and Zeb had worked on Spider-Man before. Come on, Tyler, do not even.
But he was big a decade previous, like after, but he had been out of comics for a good amount of time, where like he did Hellions, and I was like, whoa, Zeb's back.
Okay, Tyler, is Zeb Wells are Zeb Wells and Rainbow Rowell on the same tier of creator? Yes or no, in terms of name value?
Currently, yes.
Okay, put it to the chat. Put it to the chat.
That's just insane. That's insane.
Rainbow Rowell and Zeb Wells.
Her She-Hulk is getting a
hard
lot
to
of
gauge
acclaim
now, but
a book getting canceled. Are you kidding me? You cannot be serious.
Did She-Hulk lasted how many reboots with Rainbow Rowell? Like 3? I think it
getting
did.
Canceled and relaunched because it couldn't sustain sales. Yes, absolutely.
But it's She-Hulk, so you know.
That's ridiculous.
Who? Oh, Cates. Marowak Isquiros is Cates. Not
Cates is
God,
like
don't give me Duggan.
Cates is like the dark horse pick for anything nowadays because we don't know what he's doing or if he is even doing anything.
A lot of people, well, several people are saying Williamson. That would be, no way. No way.
I think it would fit, but I don't think it's working in terms of what we just talked about for an hour.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
Take Tom Taylor, says Manny.
No.
No.
He did Spectacular Spider-Man. If you want to read that, it's good.
I don't want to read it, and I don't want him on Amazing.
I genuinely don't know who's left that I think could take it.
It's weird. It's weird. Marvel feels like they just don't have a stable. Like like everybody that they have is doing a bunch of stuff, but in terms of like A-tier creators, it just doesn't feel like they have anywhere to go. And if they go to Jed McKay, I'm done.
That's how I feel about it.
I'm done. Don't do it to me. I want to read Amazing Spider-Man. I don't want to jump ship. And if they get fucking Jed, I'm out.
So Cole mentions, what if Chip leaves Batman and took Amazing Spider-Man? Chip's Spider-Man in a Life Story is probably one of my favorite Spider-Man stories in recent memory. I would not be against that if that's a possibility.
If Chip's smart though, I think he sticks around in DC. There's a lot of movement right now. There's a lot of growth opportunity. There's books that he can take in both the All In and the Absolute. Like he's sitting pretty coming off of a good Batman run.
You gotta think though, Chip also wants to do his own stuff. And Batman, doing both Batman and Daredevil, stretched him a lot. So I don't know. I think Spider-Man, frankly, would be more work for him.
Bendis. Bring back Bendis. Let's get it. I've wanted Bendis on Amazing for 20 years. Let's run it.
He's in Dark Horse jail, though.
Are we in an era where maybe we go, we do shorter runs?
I ain't against that.
I
don't know why everyone needs to do 50 issues on Spider-Man.
Or is Spider-Man too big a character to, let that many voices happen at once? You know what I mean?
I think shorter runs, I think these books need sustainability. The bigger books need sustainability. And you can guarantee the sales when you have a big creative team, which is why I do not think you can do Rainbow Roll. but you can guarantee the sales when you have a big creative team. And if you have the hot hand, you just keep going with it. Zeb Wells' run is getting as large as it is because people have continued to buy the book. And so I think if you're going to do, if you're going to get another creative team, they need to have time to cook.
I think Spider-Man also warrants that kind of long-term storytelling. Like, you need to have your statement on the character.
Yeah, I agree, but who?
Also, like, what artist do you get on it? It's all, like, I think a Spider-Man artist is almost just as important.
Yeah, but I don't think it's, obviously, all due respect, I don't think it's that hard to find an artist to do Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Romita's name value definitely helped sell ASM 100%.
To lift up Zeb's name. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It's tough. I'm sitting here right now and I don't have a name that I think is like ideal. Al Ewing ain't doing it because I believe Al Ewing is DC bound.
I think Ryan North, who's been doing some really good work at Fantastic Four.
Ooh, I forgot about Ryan.
And like just the bare bones, like let's just do Spider-Man comics, you know?
Oh yeah.
Isn't Fantastic Four ending soon?
Not that I know of.
Did I hear that? Or okay.
No. But like he's been a good hand at Marvel, like writing ancillary titles for years now. Squirrel Girl, great stuff.
Yeah.
That's an up and coming name I could see for it. James Jones saying Philip Kennedy Johnson. I mean, I would love it. It feels like a stylistic mismatch, but
yeah, right.
Weirdly. But I mean, I'm sure it'd be good.
I do like North, and I've not read his stuff, but from what I've been told of Fantastic Four, I think the things that, like some of the tropes that you'd mentioned as well, Tyler, of just like things at the bottom, like there's craft. So I think it'd be interesting to test that.
I mean, lean into the sciencey part of Peter Parker, maybe.
Ooh, fuck with that.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued as to who Marvel's gonna announce for this, and we're gonna have to wait a little while to get to that place. But I think that's gonna be a very interesting announcement.
Where do you think Zeb goes from here? On the inverse.
Iron Man.
Oh yeah, that's probably relaunching. Yeah.
Yes, Iron Man. I don't know.
You just threw whatever you knew needed a team.
Fucking Captain America, maybe. Who cares?
Disposed.
Nah, I mean, let's see. So who's in a relationship?
Me.
What relationships at Marvel can be busted up?
I got it. We do a creative team switch. Zeb goes for Fantastic Four and Ryan North goes for Spider-Man. Bring Namor back into the fold. Let's do it. Let's do it.
No. Not Namor. Hall.
Yo, chill.
Oh, so we see it across the MCU.
Yes. You know how I don't like this guy at all, but you know how Pete Davidson just hops around, right? Yeah. Maybe Paul is the Marvel Universe's Pete Davidson. He just has the riz so good that he's able to get with all these women. Maybe he comes between Reed Richards and Sue Storm.
What
Paul needs to be drawn with butthole eyes going forward to really kind of get that Davidson energy.
They have the same energy.
Okay. What if Paul is like a version of like Dormammu, and like his bigger plot is to ruin these heroes' lives actually through their relationships?
What if he's Mephisto and this is payback for one more day?
I love it.
Was that not Dormammu? Maybe I was thinking Mephisto then. Yeah. Oh, my bad.
I love it. That's great.
Uncanny Suit with a super chat here. 10th super chat on the live stream. Good job. Do you think Marvel is changing gears for the character? ASM 1000 should be big, and besides MJ, Peter getting together, I don't know what else they can do.
They have to get together again?
Yeah, I'm kind of over them together, honestly.
I feel like anytime that MJ and Peter get together, it's always going to be temporary. I also feel like because of Ultimate, they don't necessarily need to give you that. And you've also taught them by continuing to buy Amazing Spider-Man that you don't care that much that MJ and Peter aren't together. So I feel like that's a break glass type situation that they won't do unless they have to. As far as changing gears to get to 1,000, I don't know. I mean, I think Zeb's run is ending because the time has come. Like realistically, 50 plus issues is a fantastic amount of issues to get in the modern era on any book. And that's a nice space to close out on. I don't think that there's a concerted effort to get him into a specific place prior to 1,000, personally. And thank you for the $4.99, Uncanny. Really appreciate you.
I see 1,000 just being a big grab bag of creators coming back to do little short stories.
Yeah.
As per usual.
Yeah. The
Like
big
they always do.
celebratory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me hit you with this.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Go for it, please.
In the spirit of John Romita Jr. and Zeb Wells, there's a this big stink around Rainbow Roll. Well, Chip's Batman is, potentially coming to an end. What about Rainbow Roll and Jorge Jimenez?
Oh, I thought you were going to go the other direction and say, like, McFarlane.
I'm actually not so sure that Jimenez's style suits Spider-Man. It's not fluid. His style's not that fluid. It's very like big body based and these big characters.
I would say that more about Ed McGuinness than
Yeah.
Jimenez is like elastic. He's bendy. His lines curve. It's fast.
Yeah, I think it would work for Spider-Man, actually.
I
that's
see
a big,
it. Yeah,
that's a big question mark, actually. Where does Jimenez go once Batman's done? I would love to see Jimenez, jump to Marvel.
Yeah, a lot of stuff there that could be really cool. He has like the face structure, like almost like anime influence too. Like I feel like there's a lot of that energy that gets brought into his work. I see it. That'd be cool.
I mean, yeah. If I don't know when Jimenez is available, I don't know. We don't actually know when Chip's Batman is ending, but it's possible. Aaron Ruiz says I love Kafu in ASM. In Venom, he's amazing, but he would have the same problem as Chiquetto in USM. Yeah, please. Although with ASM, they've managed to make it work because they have Romita, but they also have Ed McGuinness. They also have Todd Knock. And I think because it's Romita, it's understood that you're not going to get Romita on every issue. Like, you just know that.
And Romita's pretty much been delegated to the real street level stories. With the Tombstone stuff, the Gang War stuff. And then McGuinness comes on for Kraven and Green Goblin and Sinister Six. So artistically, it also makes sense when they jump off.
Manny asked a question here. Do you need a big creator on ASM? Use the title to prop up creators instead, I guess. I think it's one of those core titles that needs to get carried by a good team for it to feel like Marvel's invested.
Well, but he follows up with ASM sells regardless. Completionists are going to buy it.
Sure, but as we've talked about, I think we want to be able to have confidence in the book by its creators, not just off the title.
I think Zeb's an indicator that doesn't really matter as long as they have one name that's big enough on there.
But that's not true because Zeb Wells has cachet. It's not like he's a no-name creator. Zeb Wells worked on Spider-Man before. He was a part of the big-time era of Spider-Man. It's just not true.
But that was a decade prior when he was on a bullpen.
It doesn't matter. Comic book fans are 30 plus. We know what he did.
I didn't.
Were you not reading it?
Yeah, I was.
You didn't know he was a part of that?
No.
Well, that's a you thing. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I think you might be overestimating.
How? How can you say that? Zeb, if you didn't know it, that's on you. I definitely knew it, and I feel like most people who read that run know that he worked on it.
You're a little more tapped in than most people, though.
I wasn't 10 years ago.
Okay.
Does ASM need big creators? Of course it does. Show me the evidence of Marvel giving non-big creators a shot on Amazing Spider-Man.
Sorry, say that again.
Does ASM need big creators on it? I believe it does. Sure. I don't think there's evidence that Marvel is going to give a shot to a creator who doesn't have name value on a book, and that's their number one book.
Yeah. Yeah, Columbo says your biggest title needs the biggest and best team. If readers aren't feeling the title, that drives the car forward. Then I found people get down the line as a whole, down on the line as a whole. But again, I mean, other than Ryan North, which I think we've all fairly settled on as someone we'd be cool with, who
is Rom still doing random like stuff on at Marvel? But he's not exclusive to DC either, right?
I feel like he might be, but he definitely isn't doing anything at Marvel. He wrapped up Marvel.
Yeah, I think Rom is one of the guys they keep for non-absolute DC.
Oh, actually, okay. Yeah, 2023, July 20th, Ron V has accepted a deal to be exclusive to DC Comics for 2 years, so till 25, presumably.
Pete brings up a good point. Pete Collins, what's up, Pete? He says, I feel ASM works best with a big writer and a hungry up-and-comer artist. That makes sense.
And Aaron Ruiz says, Zebwell's Shed story was popular. At least most fans knew about it. Of course.
Shed was 4 issues.
And it was hot.
Sure, but the whole run was hot. Yeah.
That was one of the runs from that era that people really loved, was Shed. Uncanny Suit says, I guess Ultimate Spidey is the frontline title for that character now. You would think they would try something different with Amazing then. Give us something new. Nah, Ultimate Spider-Man isn't the frontline title for Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man is. It's the mainline universe book, and it's the biggest selling book they have. You like, I get where you guys come from when you say things like, "Oh, they need to give new creators a chance." I get it, but you got to think like Marvel, not like a fan. They're not going to do that because they need to ensure the sales. Chip Zdarsky Tom King could not keep Batman at number 1 at DC as Batman, and his name was Tom King. We already knew who he was because the quality wasn't there. People were not liking the book, so they stopped buying it. You can't just assume that the book will sell perennially no matter what. That's not realistic. That's not how it works. Marvel and DC are incentivized to put their biggest creators on their biggest books, and they always do that. And if you don't think so, show me an example from the last 10 years that proves me wrong.
Quilombo just said JMS back at ASM. I rather do other things.
That ain't happening. I don't think he would even want to do that. Not after how things went with One More Day. That ain't happening. Well, we'll know the answer soon enough as far as the future of Amazing Spider-Man. Let's talk about the future of Blade. We're going to talk about the future of Blade in the comics, and then we're going to talk about the future, if he even has one, in the movies. So let's start off with the books. Marvel this week announced a new Blade series called Blade Red Band.
Hell yeah.
It is going to be a 5-issue series coming from Brian Edward Hill, one of our faves, who just wrapped up a Blade miniseries, a 10-issue book here recently. And Blade's going to be teaming up with CF Villa, coming off of Avengers.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this is going to be a polybagged book with a parental advisory on it, just like all of their red band stuff that they do. I get the impression I get the impression that this is only red band, that there is no non-red band version, and that it will all issues will be polybagged.
Interesting tactic.
Yeah.
Yeah, make the barrier of entry to read a Blade comic even harder.
Yeah, I guess. Is it polybagged for content, or is it also polybagged because you have to be of a certain age to pick it up? Like, I don't know that I've ever seen somebody walk into a comic book store and get ID'd for being 13 years old or something.
A 13-year-old has an ID.
I think it's content, right? Like,
either way, it's content.
Sure.
Man, Brian Hill's awesome. Villa's awesome. But this red band stuff is just like, Marvel figures out something that's kind of cool and neat, and then they run it through the grinder. And then it's just annoying.
Yeah. It's gimmicky.
Yeah. We talked about how Marvel president Dan Buckley wanted to do some things to incentivize people to go back to shops. And one of the incentivizers was the fact that, for example, Blood Hunt, the red band version, you could only get if you went to stores. If you get a digital copy of Blood Hunt, it will always be the regular Blood Hunt. But now they're just putting out a whole book that's red band only, apparently. And the new Wolverine series, the new Wolverine mini from Hickman and Capullo is going to have a red band edition.
So is this Blade one going to be digital at all?
I have no idea.
Because the whole point of the red band was to draw people into the shops.
Yeah.
So if this only has a red band, with that logic, it should only be in shops. But I can't imagine them putting out a book that doesn't come out digitally in some way.
Yeah, and then you'd minimize the reach there. It's a small reach, but like, no. They would have to have two versions. Like, it would have to exist. And I would also assume that the red band version would be the truer one, because that's part of the story, not the gore necessarily, but like, you have beats that can exist within those pages.
I'm confused because the book is literally called Blade Red Band. So is it gonna have a non-red band version if the book is called Red Band?
Yeah, is that version just called Blade?
But is it called Red Band because the cover just says Blade and then just says Red Band on the bottom, like a rating?
Read the article. It's called Blade Red Band.
Well, the trade dressing is not helping that at all.
I don't know. This is also happening like post Blood Hunt. So it's not even necessarily, what is Blade doing during Blood Hunt? It's what's happening after Blood Hunt. That appears to be the idea here. But Blade is bad right now. So it's just this whole announcement is weird. The timing is awkward. And I just think that overall, Marvel doesn't know what the hell they're doing with Blade. They want him to be a big character. They want to put books out with him in them, but they don't know what to do. And Brian Hill's last Blade book was all right, but it didn't feel like it had a point to it. How many times can you give a guy a book without a point just to put something out?
The same book.
Yeah, and it's Brian Hill again. I'm not mad about that. I love Brian, but we just read a Brian Hill Blade book.
But he also gets to write Blade, doesn't get to write the event, and then has to write the fallout of the event. It seems like he's getting the scraps, really.
Big two comics right there. It's like,
So confusing. So confusing. I don't know. And also, is this going to be a $4.99, $5.99 book?
That's a sure way to not sell a Blade book.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Uncanny Suit says limited series is the only way Marvel can do interesting things with their characters at this point. Dude, I don't even think that they're doing interesting things with their characters in the miniseries. Read the Blade one. Like, I'm not saying it was bad. It wasn't bad. It was solid. But nothing happened. Like, it doesn't add any interesting wrinkles to the Blade character. It doesn't say something compelling about Blade. It's just him doing a generic mission.
Because it has no room to have momentum.
10 issues is not a lot.
No.
But it didn't have a mission statement.
Well, the mission statement is to tie it to the movie.
Which, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to imagine on some level we'll be counting 2 movie relaunches here. So, you know, when this was probably first put together, that was a Blade announcement ago, you know, so.
Do you think they just keep putting out Blade books because they have to, because they don't know when the movie's coming out? And it just keeps just having to be a thing they put out because the movie is coming.
It feels like to me.
Yo,
yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna mention in the chat.
I think that they want to make Blade a thing because Blade is black and Blade is cool. I truly think that. And having Mahershala Ali attached to the film version means that there's a chance for this character to grow. I don't have any problem with Marvel or DC trying to make a character happen. But you can't make characters happen by doing random things with them. They made Harley Quinn happen by telling solid stories with her, moving her character forward, and having her intersect with characters that we care about.
Yep.
It wasn't a mistake that she had such a big role in Heroes in Crisis.
Yep.
Blade being the big bad of Bloodhunt is okay, and it sees him intersecting with other characters that we theoretically care about, but what the fuck is he doing in that book? Like,
that
we don't even know.
That should be a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, they should have been selling that well before Bloodhunt ever came out.
I mean, Blade was an Avenger for how many years? You know, they were trying it. Yeah, they were trying it, but it didn't. That book kind of fell under the weight of its own size.
He needs an ongoing with a creator of some stature who can inject some meaningful, you know, lore and character growth and a supporting cast. He needs the same kind of treatment that you would give to any other character, not endless miniseries that go nowhere.
The Black Panther treatment, when they got Ta-Nehisi Coates and Black Panther was on the Avengers.
100%. And look at that. Now all of a sudden you have a character who can have an ongoing consistently since then.
Mm-hmm.
Dan says Blade has never been a huge character outside the first Wesley Snipes movies. Yeah, okay, but Marvel controls the levers. Marvel will make you care about what they want you to care about. Why is Captain Marvel popular now? Because they wanted it that way. It was a deliberate choice. It isn't like there was this groundswell of support for Captain Marvel, like organically, and Marvel said, "Oh gosh, wow, yeah, people really love this character. Let's do something with her." No, writers chose her. Bendis used her, and then they needed to make a woman a big character in the MCU, and Captain Marvel was the chosen one. She was wearing a swimsuit before that.
Yeah, the publisher positions the characters that they need, and then from there it comes down to like how they react and the frequency that they're shown. Because you could be in a bad event, you know, and get a bad taste in your mouth, but if even if it's that bad persistent or consistently, you have an awareness of that character existing. Like it gets ingrained in you.
Yeah, they sowed the seeds initially, like Kelly Sue's and the Jamie McKellar redesign into Captain Marvel was right before the MCU stuff. It's like what they were. It almost seems like what they're trying to do with Blade is just they don't know when the before really is because they don't know when the actual movie's happening.
But no, dude, because the Captain Marvel stuff was anchored by long series with creators that people care about, who had passion for the character. What are they doing with Blade?
Well, I'm saying they're doing it wrong now.
But you said it's because they don't know when the movie's coming out. I'm saying that they need to give this character an ongoing and stop with the miniseries. That's not going to work.
Oh, compared to the Kelly Sue piece where that was an ongoing, yeah.
A long run. And then they followed that up with who? With Kelly Thompson, right? That was a big deal. Give Blade that same treatment. Why can't they get Jonathan Ridley to do this, to do some Blade stuff? Why can't they pay Brian Hill to do a long run on Blade?
So John Ridley would need to actually put out work in a timely manner, but
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Worthy IZ says, I wouldn't say Black Panther can have a solo consistently. The last two series sold terribly and ended around issue 12. Well, the last series, if I remember correctly, had Eve Ewing on it, which is not a big name. And I personally think that characters like Blade, characters like Black Panther, you need to have big creative teams on them. Frankly, you need to have big creative teams all the time. But if you're telling me that Black Panther is an A-list character, A-list creators should work on that character. A-list character, A-list creator. And if you're trying to build up a character, then you need to attach a B or A-list creator to them. That is what Blade needs right now. No doubt. And Black Panther will always get opportunities. Look at how far down the rung they were comfortable with going, because Black Panther has been able to have series over the last decade. You're saying he can't have solos consistently, but you're talking about two recent ones. What about the decade prior? Decade plus? Flo says they're paying Hill for a long run. They're just relaunching it, so it seems short. But the problem is that like they're not building anything.
Every end to a miniseries is a dropping off point for somebody, and it has to be a dropping off point narratively as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. And the movie stuff isn't helping. The fact that the movie isn't out yet isn't helping.
Isn't this something Dan Buckley was talking about too? Like the end to the constant miniseries and stuff like that.
He talked about greenlighting series for 10 issues instead of 5. I don't know that means an end to miniseries, but I think it means a hopefully longer series going forward, even if they do end at 10. To me, this just screams lack of confidence. That's what I see. I see a lack of confidence. But on the film side of things, Blade is stuck in development hell. Now, if you've never heard that phrase before, what it refers to is a movie. Of course, it can be other things, but largely it refers to movies that just can't get out the blocks. That just can't get from conception to the silver screen. That there are just all these things happening that are getting in the way and preventing the film from being made.
Being born, as it were, because conception starts at the script.
And they just haven't been able to figure out how to make this happen. Blade has run through multiple writers, multiple directors. Mahershala Ali has been attached to this since 2019.
Damn.
2019, guys.
Yo, my dude's gonna be old.
For those of you who can't math, that's 5 years ago. And it's going to take the movie, at the very least, from this moment to release, I would say 2 years is the minimum. So that means that by the time the movie releases, the earliest it could possibly come out, it will have been 7 years since Mahershala Ali signed on to this. That's nuts.
And that's assuming it happens, it starts filming and all that stuff this year.
That's the earliest.
Yeah.
It's like the Metro Prime 4 of Marvel movies.
This is a bad situation.
And you think it's such a tried and true movie formula already. Like, people like vampires. There's a new Nosferatu movie coming out. Looks good. This should be straightforward.
It's a cool black dude in a trench coat that kills vampires.
Even if he was killing zombies, that would be cool as hell.
That's also true. The Hollywood Reporter got out a great article a couple of days ago by Boris Kitt and Aaron Couch, who always do great work in Heat Vision. They always do good reporting on the MCU stuff. And we got information out of this article that, helps to understand what is happening with Blade behind the scenes. So I'm going to read a little bit from the article now. Star Mahershala Ali is also said to be increasingly frustrated. Ali, who has been attached to the project since 2019, handpicked director Jan de Mange, who is the second director to leave the project, who just left the project. After the project lost director Bassam Tariq in September 22. At the time, Blade was in pre-production and about 2 months from principal photography, but Marvel came to believe that Tariq was not the best fit for the project, according to sources. Marvel then presented Ali with a list of directors for consideration, but Ali conducted his own search after having concerns that the list largely featured filmmakers who were untested at the big studio level. Ali, at times, has exercised an inordinate amount of influence over the project in a way few other actors have on Marvel movies. Part of it stems from Blade's inception, which began when Ali called the studio after winning the Oscar for his work on the Green Book and said he wanted to do Blade. Ali envisioned Blade as his Black Panther, according to sources.
Cool.
I'm going to stop right there. If Marvel never intended to do Blade before Ali was interested in doing Blade, and he didn't factor into any of their, decision making before this, then it's pretty easy to see why it's having such a hard time coming out. They don't know what to do because they didn't plan to do it.
They'd have to shoehorn him in.
Right. So we know that Blade suffered, like a lot of other Marvel films did, from the writer strike, the actor strike, all that jazz. But the project let go all of the creatives or the actors and whatnot involved. Not all, but most of the actors involved were let go. Marvel has run through multiple writers and various people behind the scenes to get this movie off the ground. Back to the article. Ali's attorney, Shelby Weiser, told THR in a recent interview that deal was made in 2019 and they still haven't shot it, which is pretty much the craziest thing in my professional experience.
Man,
that's insane.
He doesn't know when he's getting rejected, dude. He's shooting those follow-up texts.
That could explain why Blade kept on shifting storylines and time periods. The version that was aiming to shoot last year was set in the 1920s. And featured Mia Goth as a vampire named Lilith who wanted the blood of Blade's daughter.
Come on.
For another iteration under Tariq, Marvel built a massive train set, but it was never used. The new take on Blade is sent to be present day. That is exactly the same as the rumor that we read a while ago that said that the movie was largely centered around women in Blade's life and focused on his daughter. That is the most asinine pitch I can imagine. A period piece set in the 1920s is completely random.
It's wild.
That is so random. That centers around Lilith. Okay, that's cool. wanting the blood of Blade's daughter? Who cares?
Well, Lilith.
And Blade, presumably.
That was the same mistake they made with Captain Marvel, not setting it in modern times.
Yeah.
But the 20s is way too far back.
Well, see, I actually think the 20s would work. I think that would be a really interesting place to put an MCU project because the 90s was too close to now.
And he can live for however long he needs to. So like you can still bring him back to the modern day.
I think the broader point that we're trying to kind of dance around is sort of like, why does it have to fit into the bigger narrative? You know, like obviously we don't want Thor Love and Thunder, but like Blade's already not connected to any of this, you know?
But if you're trying to build this cohesion, you're trying to build this, especially going into a new phase. Like I think it would have to be you want to have him exist and persist at the same time as everybody else. Otherwise, you're gonna have a singular movie, and then still have to figure out how to bring him into the fold. It's not. I don't think it's worth to the writers and the architects at MCU to waste Blade in that way for a single movie, and then still have to figure out a way to bring him into the world.
Ali said he envisioned Blade as his Black Panther. That's what he said. That tells me he wants to be a factor in the MCU. He's not coming to just be in the 1920s and sip tea and eat crumpets and kill some vampires. He's coming to be a factor.
And this tracks with the comics with Blade becoming an Avenger, you know, which seemed out of left field.
The 1920, like I get that it's kind of cool and it's interesting and it's different, but let's be real. Whether Blade is going to be an Avenger or not, whether he's going to have a major part to play in the multiverse or not, I just don't think that's what people want to see. Especially not if it's focusing on his daughter. What is that?
Yeah, because aren't the Blade movies about some woman in his life that he has to rescue because someone wants her connection to Blade on some level?
You're talking about like the initial Blade?
Yeah. Two, maybe.
I don't remember that being the plot of Blade 1. I remember his mother being in it.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
She was a vampire.
There was somebody who had was it a scientist woman who had like a cure or a plasma or something that vampires could use? Yeah. They always want to just walk in the daylight. That's all the vampires want.
I just feel like, make Blade cool as hell. It seems like a simple thing. Make Blade cool as hell, set it in the modern era, and let him cut some vampires. And if you want to have his daughter, that's a perfect character to throw in the Young Avengers.
And if you need it to connect that desperately, have Sam Wilson jump in, throw the shield a couple of times, and it's connected.
It just seems very, very easy. It seems like a very easy problem to solve. Let me go back to the article. It's unclear how many millions Marvel has spent on Blade, counting the development and pre-production costs. But it's not stopping now. Marvel has learned in recent years that it does not pay to be rushed into production, and the studio prides itself on having a high development to production ratio, something that eludes most other companies. The new plan calls for the script to be written over the summer and then go out to directors. The article goes on to talk about Kevin Feige enjoying the Blade character and, blah, 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 blah. As he remarked in 2017, a character nobody had heard of at all, had only appeared in a few issues of Tomb of Dracula or something, turned into a big franchise. That was always a great lesson for me, where you go, it doesn't matter how well known the character is, it matters how cool the movie is. That's in reference to Blade. I completely agree. especially now in this time in the MCU where you can really launch anything. Blade has cachet. People remember that movie. He was cool then. A lot of people think Blade is like one of the first black superheroes ever because they only watch the movies. The cachet's there. This is the timeline in terms of writers that have been hired for Blade. Going all the way back to February 21, they hired Stacy Osei Kufor, who worked on the Watchmen television show, to write the script. In fall of 22, Bo DeMayo of X-Men 97 fame wrote a script. And that one was the period piece. In April of 23, Marvel hired Nick Pizzolatto, who directed and wrote and created True Detective, which is a phenomenal show. And of course, Mahershala Ali was on that show. And it appears that Ali had some hand in getting Pizzolatto to do this project.
Just another case of Ali being like, okay, you're having trouble. I'll take care of it.
Right. In fall of 23, Bassam Tariq had left the project, and Marvel went after Michael Starbury, who did When They See Us, to write a new script for director Jan DeMange. Fall of 2023 also saw them hire Michael Green, who wrote the phenomenal Logan and Blade Runner 2049. So that's a great pedigree right there. And then here now in the summer, DeMange has exited the project, and Marvel gets Eric Pearson, who helped write Thor Ragnarok, Black Widow, and Fantastic Four. So they went and got one of their in-house hit people to finish the project. Why is this so difficult? I think I have an answer. Go ahead, Marco.
No, go.
I think the answer is that this is a symptom of Marvel being stretched entirely too thin over the last 6 or so years due to the launch of Disney Plus and the edict to put out more content.
Yep.
And I think it's also the pressure of it as well. Because I think there is perceived pressure of a certain drop-off for Marvel post-Endgame.
I just think that the bosses are telling them to make too many projects. And we've seen how the shows went. And now they're pulling back on that. They've also said that they're going to put out only 1 to 2 MCU film projects a year, as opposed to the 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a 4 a year where there were 4 at some point.
I think so, yeah.
But they're scaling back.
But if it's a case of they put too much into the TV end, somebody had to greenlight Echo. Somebody had to greenlight Agatha all along, and nobody sat there and be like, should we do these guys or Blade? It's been sitting there. We got a good person attached to it. Actually, people like Echo, right? Echo's cool. Like that doesn't make sense to me though.
Different divisions.
Exactly.
Not only that,
Different sectors of division.
Different CEO of Disney at the time too. Bob Iger was full on trying to put out as much content on Disney Plus as possible.
But then if that's the case, then I don't see the argument necessarily that they're focusing on other projects, because you're right. Then it's different.
No, the idea is that overall, Marvel Studios has put out too many projects, and they were being asked to do that on the film end and on the television end. We've talked on this very show multiple times about how Kevin Feige, known for being hands-on with these projects, has been hands-off on a lot of stuff because he's been there's so many things happening. And we saw the problems that came up with She-Hulk. We saw the problems that came up with Secret Invasion from a visual standpoint because their effects teams were so stretched thin. And a lot of these projects haven't been well received because they don't have the same level of polish. Blade was not factored into their Phase 5 plans initially. And so we can see that they're having trouble getting the projects that they knew they wanted to do off the ground. So where would something like Blade that only came to them because they got a hot actor attached to it, where would that land? In an era where they are struggling to even focus on anything.
I'd also point out the Black Knight or whatever that was introduced in Eternals is still kind of attached to Eternals.
Right.
So even that sort of genre split is an extra angle that Marvel Studios is having to try and wrestle with in a world where maybe they don't even want to tackle it.
I mean, I don't know that I don't know that there's a need for a Blade movie. That doesn't mean that there shouldn't be one. I think Blade is cool, and I think that there's a way, obviously there's a way to make it work. But Marvel is a studio that makes movies based on the needs of the overall universe largely. And if Blade doesn't make sense within that, then it makes sense that that would fall onto the back burner. But at the same time, if they're building out a horror space or a street level horror space with stuff like potentially Black Knight, with stuff like Man Thing and Elsa Bloodstone and Werewolf by Night, Blade is a perfect anchor character for that type of thing. And he's probably the only one who can have a movie. And those characters can appear in his movie. But it's clear to me that there's no synergy there. Because Marvel is stretched too thin. There is no plan for all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what makes a lot of sense? You know what would make a lot of sense is a Midnight Suns movie. That would make a whole bunch of sense to me. The video game was well received.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing a lot with Midnight Suns related characters in the comic book space. I think it's clear that they would like them to be a bigger team. A horror Avengers. Let's get it.
They already have, like, the teams already exist, essentially. Elsa, Werewolf by Night, Blade, and Black Knight.
Doctor Strange, you want that heavy hitter
Sure,
Avenger,
yeah.
get Doctor Strange.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It seems like such an easy thing to nail down, but they can't.
I think I'd want that too more, honestly. Like, I've had Blade movies already.
Man Thing's out and about.
Oh, you mean Ted?
I think Blade into Midnight Suns is perfect. Blade being the anchor character, put a movie out with him, introduce some of the Midnight Suns in that movie as a post-credits teaser or whatever you want to do, and then move on to the ensemble film down the road. To be honest, though, this might make a lot more sense when we're past Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we can build up to a Blood Hunt movie.
Well, isn't Wolverine part of the Midnight Suns, or is that just in the game?
In the game, I don't know about the...
And he has been in the comics as well. Yeah. The game is literally... Midnight Suns, the game, is essentially Avengers.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Let's hit some comments. We've been chatting. Harris says, funny enough, this discussion has my gears turning, and I agree to peed into a Midnight Suns film or series. Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Uncanny Suit says Ryan Coogler is literally making his own Blade movie right now with Michael B. Jordan. Vampire movie set in the 30s. Absolutely insane.
Awesome. I did read about that. Owen Harrison asks, do you want Mahershala Ali to continue as Blade, or you prefer that after all these problems they look for a younger actor? I mean, Blade is a vampire that is obviously going to be super old. I can't imagine, I don't know this for a fact, but I can't imagine Mahershala is too much older than Wesley Snipes would have been when the first Blade came out. I don't know that for a fact, But either way, I think in terms of name value, Mahershala Ali is a great get for them. And so I would like to see him stay attached to the character. He's got the look, he's got the vibe. I think it's perfect.
He's got the passion.
Right.
If he'll stay on it this long, like
Yeah,
apparently.
I just looked.
Oh, did you also look it up?
No, I just looked up his age. He's 50 right now. And
Mahershala Ali?
yeah, he's 50.
Whoa.
Snipes was 36 when.
Wow.
way.
Yeah, Snipes is 61
That black
right now.
don't crack.
It's okay. I was waiting for you to say it.
36 is looked a lot different back then.
Yeah. that was a hard 36.
Yeah, that's right.
But to be fair, Wesley Snipes doesn't look much different than he did when that movie came out.
That's
so,
true.
yeah.
Hey,
That black don't crack.
let's get Wesley Snipes back in it. Fuck it. Owen, please.
Wouldn't hate that.
Owen Harrison says, I'm still very interested in the movie, but the surrounding conversation is getting more negative with such disappointing news. That's bad PR.
Yeah.
That's what happens when the comic pals start digging.
Unfortunately, though, the longer this takes to get into production, you know, the worse the narrative gets. And I mean, when you have Mahershala Ali's, you know, manager coming out and saying, I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Yeah.
That ain't good. This is just another domino in a series that have fallen negatively for Marvel. How many times have we done stories like this? It's rough. Pete Collins says, I think a benefit that will come from all the delay is Disney's willingness to embrace R-rated MCU films. They're all in with that rating for Deadpool. Hopefully that helps make Blade a mature film.
That's an interesting point.
Blade needs to be R, no?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
100%.
Red band?
Yeah, beat me to it.
I would think so.
Did you see that the TV show Blade might be in Deadpool 3? Somebody caught him in the background.
Yeah, the Spike TV Blade.
Yeah, I forgot that wasn't even a thing, dude.
But Sticky Fingers played Blade. I don't think it's Sticky Fingers that people see in the I saw the picture you're referring to. I don't think that was Sticky Fingers.
I don't think so either, but it did look like the costume at least.
Yeah, for sure. Uncanny Suit asks, is there any credence to the Ryan Gosling Ghost Rider rumors? I've seen that floating around for a while, but I don't think so.
As far as it goes, is that is who Ryan Gosling said he wants to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's as far as it's gotten.
Yeah. I think, you know, let's get past the era of Marvel just putting out whatever. And don't even do the movie if you don't have a banger idea. I like the fact that Marvel keeps delaying it. For the reason that they don't feel confident. Don't make a movie you're not confident in.
That's how you get Eternals.
And a lot of the other things, television side especially, that we have gotten over the last few years. So, fine. All right. Now, we're going to do two things before we close out. The first thing is we are going to conduct the giveaway. We're going to start the giveaway now. What I want you to do, the way you enter into the giveaway is simple. Because Marco is the one who is giving away a book this time around, not everybody will be able to do that. I forgot.
What?
I was going to say put Marco heads in the chat, but not everybody can do that.
Oh.
Okay, that's fair. So put a Marco head or put an M in the chat to enter the giveaway. Marco head or an M in the chat to enter the giveaway. We are going to do a draft right now. We're going to do an X-Men draft. And at the end of the draft, we will announce the winner of the giveaway. Sound good? So M's in the chat. M's in the chat. Marco heads in the chat. Let's see it. If you want to enter the giveaway, that is the way.
What are we giving away, Marco? Did you decide on?
I did. I would like to give away In Waves by AJ Dungo. It is a graphic novel that is deals with the relationship of two people, a man and woman, who are going through a medical scare and sort of the consequences of that, as well as the history of surfing. Beautiful story, made me cry multiple times. I absolutely adore this, and actually in my latest newsletter on the Patreon, I went over some of it in some detail. So highly recommend, and I just want to share this book. This is a book that needs more attention on it and needs to be read.
Awesome shit. Can I answer? John makes a good point in the chat. We got 50 likes out of 67 people here. Let's get those likes up.
John's the like counter. I appreciate it.
I love it. Thank you, John. CT Allen says, "Holy crap, I get to watch it live." Well, CT, bud, you came in so late. You came in so late. We're about to do a draft. We're about to do an X-Men draft. It is X-Men month. We are going to do an X-Men draft. I'm very excited for it. CT Allen, by the way, welcome to your first live stream.
Casey, yeah?
Is that Casey?
I think it's Casey, yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, that's beautiful. Welcome, Casey. I love it.
Oh,
Casey,
it sure is, yeah. My man.
Bigfoot Knows Karate, which we love, and also of the Comic Jam. For those of you who don't know, which we also love, the Comic Jam is a place on Discord. I don't know if it lives outside of Discord, but I know about the Discord, where a potential writer, a prospective writer, and a prospective artist can get paired up to do stories together. And the Discord is full of people who do one or the other thing, and they pair people up and they tell short stories together. And I know that comic creators who work in the industry now have actually come from the jam, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Kayla and I have done one or a couple times, I think.
Yep.
So much fun.
I wanted to do that. I gotta do it.
It's a lot of fun, and it's like low commitment. You're literally doing a page. You're doing 6 panels at most. Like, it's a fun time. Shout out to Letter Squids.
Yeah, you really need to flush down the comic jams there, Sean.
Ooh.
Jack G says, "Started reading through House of Powers because your retrospective sold me. Loving so far." Man, there is nothing that has been said today that makes me happier than that. I love that. I love it. Thank you for telling me that. Dan says, "Please post this on the Discord. I'm very interested." Yes. Casey, please, share a link. I haven't joined. I got to join. Share a link. I know we have creative people in our community. We really do. Yeah. We're lucky like that. And I would love to see some collaboration in that way. Go to the Comic Jam. Make something happen for yourself. Why not? Now's the time. Now is the time. If you've been waiting, and this message goes to me too. Now is the time. Nothing is impossible.
Yeah, Dan. It's so much fun, and it happens every week.
Yeah, Casey, we have the Perspective Creators channel in the Discord. You could probably just throw it at everyone if you need to, and just throw it in there if you want.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the draft. This is an X-Men draft. No limits, except that the character that you draft has to have been an X-Man, X-person at some point. We will do 5. Can we do 5? Yeah, we can do 5. We'll do
easy 5.
Yeah.
We can do 10
5 characters each. I have my handy dandy X dice right here, and I will roll to determine the order in which we will draft. This will be a snake draft, so whatever. And who wins? You guys determine who wins. And what is the barometer for victory? Whatever you think it is. It doesn't matter, actually. Here we go. All right. I'm going to roll now for Kale. That is a 3.
Uh-oh.
I will roll for myself.
Like
that is a 5. Not much better. I will roll now for Tyler. That is a 6. And for Marco, that is an 8.
Nice.
Wow. So it will be Marco, Tyler, myself, then Kale. That is the order. Whenever you're ready, Marco.
I choose Beak.
Are you dead?
Really?
Yeah.
You're starting off.
On your first one, you're doing beak.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. Okay. All right. I guess it leaves everything open for me. I'm gonna say Glub. No, I'm joking. I'm gonna give me Magneto. I need Magneto off the bat.
There.
Damn it. Fuck you.
Kale,
Holy
you
shit.
know you can do to Sean what? Oh, actually, you go last, right?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. And I'm going to draft Jean Grey, of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
I was tempted.
Man. Been thinking about this all day.
That can happen in these drafts.
Fucking hate this game.
Kale, I woke up to see the Magneto skin is in Fortnite, and I was like, yo, I need to get him. It's written.
All right. If I can't have Magneto, I'm gonna do Bendis era Cyclops. Bendis era older Cyclops. I'm gonna go specific there.
Dude, whoever Cyclops hired for PR lately, incredible work. Incredible.
You get another one.
You damn right I do. Storm.
No!
That's the pick.
Oh, fucker. That was my next pick. All right. I'm going to draft Wolverine.
Thank you. I'll take Emma Frost.
I'm gonna do Beast,
Damn it, Marco.
and I'm gonna do Lockheed.
Lockheed?
Yep.
Yo, he's picking the Animal X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Wolverines? What was it? Okay. Let me get Rogue.
Yeah, you can have her.
Problem.
I don't understand the Rogue hate on the show. It is mind-boggling to me.
I don't hate Rogue at all. I love Rogue. I'm going to go with. Damn, man, why'd you have to take Storm for? I'm gonna go with Professor X.
That fascist?
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna go with Kitty Pryde for my third one.
Right.
My fourth one, I'm gonna go with Multiple Man.
Nice.
That's not fair. That's like 4th, 5th, 5th, 6th, and 7th pick. Damn it.
You gotta metagame this shit. I say having lost my top character.
Well, I'm gonna go with another heavy, and I'm gonna draft Apocalypse.
Ooh.
Let me get a Mystique.
We had 5, right? So final 2?
Yep.
Final 2 are Brew and Wolfsbane.
Fucking furry.
Yeah, he's going for the full furry.
Marco, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Are you looking these people up?
No. The only one I had to remember the name for was Wolfsbane.
Okay. All right.
I typed Danny Moonstar first. I'm like, no, that's wrong. It's a new mutant, but it's the wrong one.
All right, let me finish out with. I don't want to say Gambit. I'm gonna say Wolverine. Laura Kinney.
X-23?
No, she's Wolverine now, Marco. Jeez, don't dead name her.
My bad.
Tyler, you have Magneto, Rogue, Mystique, X-23,
Emma Frost.
and Emma Frost. Okay. So for my last pick, damn, you took my half glove love.
No love, no glove, no love, right?
Damn, dude.
Sean's quickly Googling if Saturnin was ever an X-Men
Yeah, right.
character.
I already know, unfortunately. I wish I could draft her, but alas. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go with my girl, Hope Summers.
Oof.
She's dead.
She's alive in my heart.
My last one is Destiny.
No, you split them up. Damn.
Breaking up the lovers.
I feel like I really like my team. I feel like we kind of there's a direction that we all kind of went in a way where like characters like Destiny or Xavier or Emma Frost, I think all of us kind of have like a nexus point around that kind of character. And I really like it.
I was going for Magneto running Charlie's Angels.
Okay.
Cool.
Wow.
Sean is going to win.
I was going with people I like, and then Wolverine for some reason.
That felt like if you have the chance and nobody's taking it, you take it.
Yeah. Damn, did I draft nobody black? Oh man.
Wow. Wait, hold on. Did anyone?
That's crazy.
I did.
Storm is
Thank
black.
you.
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
No
Wow,
Nightcrawler.
See, we're just like Marvel. We don't use
Damn.
black X-Men, except Storm. That's nuts. I was gonna draft Sync, but I was like, oh man, I love Sync, but people won't vote for me if I draft Sync because people don't care about Sync.
They should
Okay,
though. They should.
All right. So the drafts went as follows, and please share your drafts in the chat. I love when you guys do that. Marco chose Beast, Beak, Lockheed, Brew, and Wolfsbane, the triple B. Tyler got Magneto, Rogue, Mystique, X-23, and Emma Frost. I drafted Jean Grey, Wolverine, Professor Xavier, Apocalypse, and Hope Summers. And Kale drafted Cyclops, Storm, Kitty Pryde, Multiple Man, and Destiny. Who won? Audience, which of our drafts did you like the most? Who do you think nailed it the best? Yes, everybody talking about the fact that Nightcrawler didn't get chosen. Dude, he's
There's
not
no
it.
heat on Nightcrawler.
Look at these. We got omissions here. We got no Gambit, no Cable, no Iceman, no Nightcrawler, no Angel. It's too many good X-Men.
I don't know if I would say Angel is an omission.
I added him just for the fun.
Iceman, come on. Gambit, come on.
Iceman's Omega level. If you're going power, he just doesn't put much effort in.
Yeah. Let's see those teams vote to tell us who you think won this draft. Harris put together Havoc, Elixir, Juggernaut, Polaris, and Scarlet Witch.
Damn, Havoc and Polaris. That's a cool team.
Hell yeah. I like that.
This has Emma Frost, Nightcrawler, Madrix, Dazzler, and Vampire Jubilee.
Oh.
Whoa. I'm calling a foul here. How can you get Emma and Multiple Men? They're crossed out. Kefis. They were chosen.
Does that only applies to us?
I'm just busting his balls.
You still have some heat with Kefis, I guess.
Yeah.
Hippolyta. Hippolyta. I go Magneto, Professor X, Nightcrawler, Beast, and one more.
Yeah, you got room for one more on that team.
Yeah.
John Horchler said there was always Bishop, Sean.
Yeah. No, of course, but there was also Apocalypse.
Sean, am I right in thinking that Bishop was originally supposed to be Filipino?
Yeah, Bishop's history is weird. He's actually not originally black, but he kind of has become black.
No
it's
black
a
people
weird,
in the Philippines.
Yeah, it's a weird history. By the way, if you didn't enter into the giveaway, we're about to announce the winner of that. M in the chat or a Marco head in the chat enters you into the giveaway. You've got like 30 seconds to enter if you have not.
Is Apocalypse black?
Apocalypse is Egyptian.
He's blue-black. You know what I mean? Like when they don't want to actually put a black character in it, so they just make them blue. It's a thing.
Wow. Dan Trudeau says Bishop, Nightcrawler, Iceman, Cable. Who's your fifth? Who's your fifth?
His fifth is that one X-Men character everyone forgets about. What's his mutant power? It's like that he's always been an X-Men, but everyone it's Forget-Me-Not. That's who it is.
Oh yeah, somebody brought him up. Hendrik Perry, just a little bit above that. Yeah.
Hey, Uncanny Suit. What do you mean by that? Sean's been pretty sus with his roles in the past. He only didn't win today to throw some heat off. Whoa, 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 whoa. What is this accusation?
The shade.
Oh, okay.
I rarely actually win the die rolls on this podcast. When I play cards in real life, I win all the time. But on the podcast, not so much.
I thought he was gonna say I rarely win the throw of the dice rolls.
Come on now. It's pronounced Ippolite. Ippolite?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. My
Polite.
bad.
Hippolyte is like a last name people have.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know a couple.
Hendrik Perry, Siren, Forget-Me-Not, Darwin, Domino, and Blink.
Hendra going with the obscure draft. Jack G. Did Leach get a shout out? Hell no, Leach didn't get a shout out.
On
The hell
this
do you
the
think
Leech
this is?
podcast?
Now, do you want us to draft obscure X-Men? Because, well, I don't even know if Leach has ever been an X-Men. But like obscure mutants, that's a different draft.
We could do that. What? Yeah, I guess what's obscure
Yeah, that'll be an argumentative draft because somebody's going to say
Oh.
Gambit.
is armor obscure enough?
Teetering.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. Let's not even. I want to, but let's not. Who won the draft?
Let's see. Let's close it. It looks like it's Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler coming in
Wow.
at 31%.
Pretty
Followed
close.
followed by me with 26, and then Kale and Marco tied with 21%.
Damn.
Goes to show you going first. I mean, but Marco blew it by drafting Beak and Lockheed.
Whoa! Mad people in the chat were like in love with Beak.
Mad people.
Me and Marco had a Zoom call before this, and I said just throw the draft, and I'll pick up the leftovers, and we can include that way. I'm going to be giving some of my winnings to Marco tonight.
Columbo, shout out to all my Beak heads. Uncanny Suit, Beak heads. Dan. Oh well, Dan said that's the most Marco thing I've ever seen. True.
Yeah, that's not an endorsement.
Uncanny Suit, Jean, Storm, Psylocke, Emma, and Rogue, the all baddie squad.
Let's go.
What? You know what?
If Storm hadn't been stolen from me, I probably would have done a similar thing. But I would have dropped Rogue for Hope. Yeah. All right. So we got that done. Now let's figure out who wins the giveaway. We're doing a giveaway. Tyler's going to spin the wheel, and we'll see who's getting Marco's book.
Randomizer, random name picker. Let's go.
Wheel.
I don't know how to pronounce this, but LTRX. Litrix? Litrix?
Ooh.
Sick.
Nice.
Awesome. Are you still here, LTRX? And also, are you on our Discord? The way to claim the prize is just to be able to message us. It doesn't have to be Discord. It could be a DM anywhere that you can DM us. So just get to us, and we will get the book to you. Congratulations. Thank you for hanging out. We appreciate that. Tektronic says Sync and Wolverine, X-23, Rogue and Gambit, Nightcrawler, and Storm. And Magneto. I like that team. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that's 6, but that's okay.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Bro, you got like 20 on your team, all right? Chill.
Yeah, we're
No, more than that.
All right. That's going to do it for us here today. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. You guys are amazing. Don't forget, this Wednesday, we will be live with you presenting our Astonishing X-Men book club. This is going to be based on the Joss Whedon John Cassaday run on Astonishing X-Men, all 25 issues. So make sure you come here live with us at 6 p.m. on Wednesday night to talk about that groundbreaking series. Join our Discord server. Lots of great conversation happening over there all the time. And if you want to support us, patreon.com/thecomics-pals is the best way to do that. Making Saturdays a destination is amazing that you guys continue to do it and show up. We had a lot of support today. Thank you all so much for that. Appreciate you. We will see you in the next one. Until then, take care, guys.
See you next week.